The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and Oracle of Ages are two great games for the Game Boy Color that revived classic two-dimensional Zelda gameplay when they released simultaneously back in 2001. We already covered the development of these games in the Oracle of Ages guide, but which of the two games is better? Ages and Seasons are both a lot of fun, and with the way they're intertwined, it can be very difficult to pick a favorite. But there are several major differences between the two titles. Each game has its own core mechanic. Ages is all about time travel, and Seasons is about seasons. Of the two, I'd say time travel is much more interesting. Seeing the same location 400 years in the past is far more exciting than seeing it in spring or summer. The time travel mechanic is featured in one of the dungeons in Ages, making for one of the most memorable dungeons in both games. On the other side, the Seasons mechanic is never used in the dungeons at all. So this round goes to Ages. The items that you'll have by the end of each game are similar, but they are not all the same. Oracle of Seasons features the Rock's Cape, which grants Link the ability to jump and then glide. This thing is awesome. Ages has the Seed Shooter, which is nice, but the mermaid suit makes swimming feel awkward, so I have to give this one to Seasons. When you're looking at the size of the overworld, Oracle of Seasons is noticeably larger. If you took the past and present worlds from Oracle of Ages and laid them side by side, the total area would be large, but the game is not presented that way. In comparison, Oracle of Seasons has 4 different seasons, so to see everything the world has to offer, you'd have to explore most of it 4 times. If that wasn't enough, there's also an entire subcontinent, the world of Subrosia, where you'll meet a wacky cast of characters and play minigames. The advantage here definitely goes to Seasons. If you were looking for a story, you won't find much in Oracle of Seasons. There's a basic damsel in distress plot here, and we won't hear much about it after the first few minutes of the game. Oracle of Ages, on the other hand, features numerous scenes that flesh out the story. The villain can mind control her victims and uses them to create chaos. There's some real character development here, and a few memorable twists. The advantage definitely goes to Ages. Oracle of Seasons doesn't have very many minigames, and they're usually optional to play. Oracle of Ages has a ton of minigames, which is nice for gameplay variety. Unfortunately, these minigames are often mandatory and can halt your progress. So I have to give this one to Seasons. With a score of 3-2, I feel like Oracle of Seasons with its enormous world is the better game, but if you're really into theme and story, you may like Ages better. Oracle of Seasons also has some of the most exciting boss fights in the series. Many of them are beefed up versions of bosses from the original Legend of Zelda, like Aquamentus, Goma, Dodongo, and the two-headed Gleeok. Some of these battles are especially difficult. If you don't know what to do, it won't be long before it's game over. But what if I told you how to find every hidden item and upgrade, even the ones only found in a linked game? What if I showed you a way to make so many chickens that you can sneak into the final castle without completing most of the dungeons? And what if I showed you how to defeat every boss? Even General Onyx himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. And please join our Patreon for access to an exclusive Discord community and a chance to vote on future episodes. This episode was suggested and voted on by members of our Patreon community. Let's get started. All right. The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons. As the game opens up, we see Link riding on his trusty horse Epona, but don't get too excited. Just like in Oracle of Ages, there is no horseback riding action in this game. However, if you'd like to ride on the back of a bear with tiny wings, or in the pouch of an enormous kangaroo, this game's got you covered. Link rides dangerously close to the edge of a ledge that overlooks a building, which I assume contains the Triforce. Inside, the Triforce teleports us off to our next quest. Now, did we just leave our horse outside? I certainly hope someone is going to feed him while we're off on this adventure. What dangers await in the mysterious season-shifting world of Holodrum? As reality begins to warp and bend around us, we fall into an invisible hole. And that brings us to the title screen. This guide will cover both starting a new game from scratch and playing a linked game that continues after Oracle of Ages. We'll mostly be playing the normal game because those strategies can apply either way, but whenever the linked game is different, I will be showing that, and there are quite a few changes this time around. We'll start up a new game and name our character UCBVG. Keep in mind that whatever you name yourself here, the game is going to call you that now and forever, even when you start up a linked game in Oracle of Ages, and there is no way to change it. In Oracle of Ages, we dropped out of the sky and had no problem, but in this one, we land on our back and end up in a coma. Yeah, thanks a lot, Triforce. After surviving that near-death experience, we wake up here next to the covered wagon from the Oregon Trail. How long had we been sleeping there in that field? We're probably lucky that we didn't die of dysentery. We seem to have come across a jovial group of traveling musicians. And down here, it's Impa. We know that Impa works for Princess Zelda, but she says that she's the troop's cook. I sure hope she isn't possessed by demons again. We need to talk to all of the people here and then talk to Din, the red-haired woman that's twirling on the stump at the top. We learn that Din has been taking care of us while we were in the coma, and also that we've been suffering terrible nightmares while we were out. When we finally talk to Din, she explains that she saw a red flash in the woods, and when she ran towards it, she found us lying there unconscious. We're lucky that she found us and not someone else. There are definitely moblins and other monsters around these parts. Din invites us to dance, and when we talk to her again, we see this scene. Link looks pretty awkward here, but immediately afterwards, he's doing perfect pirouettes like Baryshnikov. Din comments on our impressive dancing abilities, and then notices the sacred mark on our left hand. She says that it means we're a hero with a special fate, and then she asks us to dance again. I've got to say, that is some high-level flirting right there. But we knew it couldn't be all fun and dancing forever. Lightning rains down from the sky, vaporizing some barrels and a covered wagon, but avoiding all of our friends. It turns out that Din is the Oracle of Seasons, and she's been trying to hide from Onyx, the General of Darkness. If by hide you mean twirling on a stump out in the open while people drink beers and play guitar. Onyx sends a tornado to capture Din, and sadly there's nothing we can do to stop it. Outside of General Onyx's castle, a storm rages. Inside, the General has Din chained to a rock, and he explains the plot to her. Of course, as you know, if I imprison the Oracle of Seasons and bury the temple that houses the season spirits, the seasons of Holodrum will be cast into chaos. I guess that having her chained to the rock doesn't count as being imprisoned, because he goes ahead and does some kind of magic spell that puts her inside of a crystal. This seems pretty bad, but according to the General's own plan, he still needs to bury the Temple of Seasons, and that's a big place, so this could take a long time. He'll probably need to do a demolition, maybe bring in some excavators, or he could just say down Temple of Seasons and it will suddenly sink into the earth. Okay, well, I didn't know it was so easy. Was this temple built on top of an abandoned mine or something? It's not every day that you see a building sink into the earth completely intact. In any case, we wake up in a wintry field and Impa is nearby. Impa reveals that she has been working for Princess Zelda, and that she's been spearheading a covert mission to sneak the Oracle of Seasons into Hyrule. So I'm just making a note here not to put Impa in charge of any more stealth missions. Impa is wounded and won't be able to travel for some time, so it's on us to save the day once again. The Triforce-shaped mark on our hand confirms it. It was fate that brought us to this area, and our quest is simple. Save the Oracle, save the world. Impa suggests that we find the local Maku tree and explain the situation to him. The Maku tree resides in Horon village, which is directly below where we're at right now. Before we head down there, we can explore this area, but we won't get very far without a sword. Down here, we see a man who's trying to get his cat named Mittens out of a tree, but unless we bring a fish, we won't be able to rescue her. That's right, there's an item trading quest in this game, and saving that cat is just one step along the way. Exploring that area was completely optional, and we won't be able to go into Impa's house right now, so we'll head down here into Horon Village. You'll notice that as we entered the village, the season changed from winter to fall or autumn. Most regions in this game have a default season, so it will always be the same season when you enter them, but Horon Village is unique. Each time you enter the village, the game assigns a random season, so every time you enter and exit, it could be different. This is the home of Rule, the mayor of Horon Village. This guy is obsessed with gacha seeds and goes on and on about how amazing they are. Then, I guess because we just randomly walked into his house, he gives us his prized possession, a gacha seed. Maybe that's a tradition around here? Whenever a new person comes to town and barges into your home, you welcome them by giving away your favorite thing. It doesn't sound like it would be a very sustainable tradition, but it is nice, and right outside we'll be able to plant that Gasha seed in a plot of soft earth. After we defeat 30 or more enemies, that Gasha seed will grow into a Gasha tree, and it will bear a fruit, a Gasha nut, which we can harvest, and it will contain a random item, hopefully a ring. We can only equip one ring at a time, and they usually just provide minor effects to gameplay, but some of them are pretty good, so we will want to find those rings. And speaking of rings, this is Vasu, the jeweler. The first time you talk to Vasu, he will give us a free ring, although it doesn't actually do anything, it's just one for our collection, but he does sort of explain how the process of rings work. Anytime we find a ring, it will be unappraised, and we won't know what the ring is until we bring it back here to Vasu, who will charge us 30 rupees to reveal what the ring is. Luckily, the first one is free because we don't have any money. It's the friendship ring, and like I said, it doesn't do anything special, it's just the first ring for our collection. If we get any duplicate rings, Vasu will purchase them from us automatically for 20 rupees, because you won't be able to do anything with extra rings anyways. Once we get a more useful ring, we'll need to add it from Vasu's list to our ring box, and then you still need to equip it from the item menu before it will have any effect. This artist guide tells us of a cave over on the western coast where we can find the hero's sword, and that is exactly what we need right now. Without the sword, we won't be able to open the gate leading to the Maku tree. Down these stairs, we'll see a portal that we don't currently have access to, and over here on the left, we'll find the Horon village home of Bippin and Blossom. Just like in Oracle of Ages, Bippin and Blossom just had a baby, and they're going to ask us, a man that they just met a moment ago when we broke into their house, to give him a name. If we check in frequently enough with Bippin and Blossom, we'll have some opportunities to shape this child's life. Although he won't grow up completely in this game, we'll need to continue the story in a linked game where we'll see who little Kylo finally becomes. There are several possible outcomes with different rewards, and we will be looking at those later on in this guide, but for now, all we can do is give the kid a name. So we'll do that and head back outside. Over here is a chest that contains some rupees, but we can't reach it right now, and this is the main shop in town, although it's currently closed. We also can't go in the back room because we don't have a member's card, and yeah, I have a good idea of what kind of things they sell in the back room of a store, so you know what, shop owner guy? You can keep your secrets. On this screen, some friendly dragonflies flit by as a man complains about the seasons, and over here we see a mysterious building with a large clock on the top of it. I wonder what they might sell here. The owner of the clock shop wants to make the very best cuckoo clock, like no one ever was. One that's just breathtaking. Well, you know, it's good to have goals. And if we head over here, up and to the left, we find an older woman who's working a garden who says it goes from hot to cold in a flash. And I hate to say it, that's probably not the seasons, that's just menopause. This kid informs us that the know-it-all birds are back, and they reside in this hut over on the left. Most of the information that you'll get from these birds is pretty basic, but this green one on the right side has a very good explanation of how the seasons affect gameplay, so he might be worth having a chat with. You can probably figure out most of this stuff on your own, but not everything this bird has to say is obvious. This building would be locked if we weren't playing on a Game Boy Advance or an equivalent device like the GameCube player. The store is currently closed, so we'll have to find the sword before we'll be able to purchase any Game Boy Advance merch. Over here on the western coast, the default season is winter, so it will always be winter when we first enter this area from the village. The cave we're looking for is directly below, but we need to head around to get down there. So we'll go down this way and we can take a look at the shoreline, and then we'll just pop up onto this screen again and enter the Hero's Cave. This simple introductory dungeon will expose us to some of the game's basic mechanics like pushing blocks to open doors, and up here we'll need to push some of the blocks out of the way so that we can navigate this narrow path. Be careful not to walk off of the path. If you fall into the black void, you'll go back to the entrance of the room and take a bit of damage. We don't currently have any weapons, so just try to avoid the enemies in this room and touch the button on the far right side to make a chest appear, and that chest contains a key. If you do get caught by one of these mini gels, just rapidly tap left and right until you shake it off. Over here, we'll need to walk through this room again, pushing the blocks out of the way. So just follow it back to the entrance at the bottom and head downwards. You may not have noticed it before, but after pushing this block, there's another door that opens up at the bottom of the screen, and down here there's a locked door on the right side, so that's where we'll use the small key that we found. Touch the button at the top and watch out for the green gels that pop out of the ground, and make your way to the door at the top of the screen. And here in this chest, we'll find the wooden sword. I'd swear that guy back in Horon Village said that this is where we'd find the hero's sword, but hey, a wooden sword is better than nothing. And now that we have a weapon, we can more fully explore this area without having to worry about all the enemies. Over here, we'll find a bridge that seems to be missing a piece, so we won't be able to go any farther to the left. And up here, we'll find a small cave that contains a fairy fountain. If you've taken any damage, this fairy will completely refill your health, and if we head over here to the right and chop this bush, we'll be able to drop back into the Hero's Cave. Up on this ledge, we'll find 30 rupees. Not bad. But that's not the only thing to find here. If we push this block and head back into this room, we can clear the enemies. We need to defeat all the enemies before we'll be able to push this block in the upper left, which will make a hidden stairway appear. And down at the bottom of this ladder, we'll find a Gosha seed. Nice. That's the last thing that we'll find here in the Hero's Cave. So once you have it, head back up into this room. We'll need to push the block one more time, and this time we're going to head over here to the left, which will bring us back to the entrance. Back outside, there's nothing more that we need to do here in the western coast at the moment, so we'll head up this way and back to the right, and that's going to bring us back to Horon Village. Remember, whenever we enter the village, it will be a random season, and this time it's summer. The shops are open for business now, but at the advanced shop, all the items are a bit too expensive, so we're going to head down this way where we can purchase something in this store. For 30 rupees, we'll be able to buy a shield. Purchasing the wooden shield is optional, but we will have some use for it, so I do recommend picking it up. Now we just need to cut across the village over to the right side, so we'll head past Vasu's jewelry store, and then we'll go up here where we'll find the gate that guards the Maku tree. Swing your sword in front of it, and it will magically open. Inside, the Maku tree is asleep, but if you pop the bubble that's coming out of its mouth, you'll be able to wake him up. Unlike the tree in Ages, the Maku tree in this game is not interested in a relationship. He has sort of a wise old man thing going on, and says that with the seasons and chaos, all of his might has been drained. The only way to restore the Maku tree's power is to recover the 8 essences of nature, which are hidden in the game's dungeons. Only with the power of the 8 essences will allow the Maku tree to break the shadow barrier that prevents us from entering General Onyx's castle. The first dungeon is not very far away, and luckily the Maku tree has the key that we need to open it up. As the wise old tree falls back asleep, the gnarled key falls from the sky. Now you'll notice that there's no opening on the side of this tree for us to go inside of it. But there will be later in the game, because the Maku tree in Seasons grows larger after you complete more of the dungeons. So if you pay attention to that, you'll certainly notice the difference when we visit the Maku tree a bit later. Impa tells us that the gnarled root is nearby, and just like in other Zelda games, if we use our sword to cut the grass, we may be able to find random items like rupees and hearts. Up here on this screen, we can plant a Gosha seed, and we should probably do that before we go into the next dungeon, because we'll likely kill 30 enemies there, and that will make the Gosha nut appear. And up here, this is the keyhole we were looking for. Whenever we touch it, we'll use the gnarled key, and level 1 will appear. Before we jump into the gnarled root dungeon, let's take a look at some linked game differences. To start up a linked game, choose an empty file and then pick the Secrets option. This is where you'll enter your secret from the end of Oracle of Ages. Make sure that you do not delete your completed Oracle of Ages game, because we will need to go back to it to be able to get some of the linked game bonuses. There are some extra bosses that we'll need to face at the end of a linked game, and if you don't take advantage of the linked game bonuses, those bosses can be very difficult. This password may seem long, but at least it's not Metroid or River City Ransom. And whenever we start up the game, you'll see that it begins with a new cutscene that recaps some of the events from Ages. Here we see the Twin Rova, a pair of witches that we'll have to ultimately face at the end of a linked game. It seems that the troubles caused by Varen were enough to ignite the Flame of Sorrow, and if 2 more flames are lit, then the evil king shall return. Alright. This time when we talk to Din, it seems that we have a bit of a reputation. She knows that we're the one that rescued Nehru, the Oracle of Ages, back in Labrina. The rest of Din's story is exactly the same as it was in a linked game, but after a little bit of awkward dancing, she does have a few more different things to say. After a few more perfectly synchronized twirls, Din once again mentions the Triforce tattoo on Link's left hand. This time, after the whole hero with a special fate thing, Din explains that just like Nehru, she is also the target of evil forces. Din has a very good attitude about this, but we know that General Onyx is about to break up the party. And after bringing down the thunder, he sends his whirlwind to capture Din. Well, we couldn't hide from this guy forever, and this time as Onyx tornadoes his way through Impa and the rest of the merry troop, he stops for a moment because he recognizes Link as the boy who defeated Varen, the Sorceress of Shadows. But Onyx doesn't seem particularly concerned, so he kidnaps Din just as he had in the non-linked game. This next scene is exactly the same, so we'll cut ahead to where Link and Impa are recovering in the snowy field, and you'll notice that Impa's message here is a bit different. And slightly different story segments are nice and all, but the big difference here is that you start the game with the sword, so you don't need to go to the hero's cave. In fact, you don't want to go to the hero's cave because it's been replaced with a more difficult dungeon that we are definitely not ready for yet. So if you're playing a linked game, don't go to the west coast at all. Instead, you can just walk right up to the Maku tree's gate, swing your sword, and you'll be able to enter. It's really that easy. The tree, of course, gives you the key for the first dungeon, and anytime after meeting the Maku tree, if you go to this screen where the artist is painting a picture, you can meet this woman dressed in red. She will give us a password that we will need to use in our completed Oracle of Ages game. So make sure to write this password down. It will probably be different in your game. So make sure you have that short password, and then we're going to switch over to Oracle of Ages, where we need to go to the upper left corner of the fairy's woods, and that's where we'll find the blue fairy. That's the fairy that we need to give the password to. Our reward for doing this is supposed to be an additional heart container, but we already had the maximum of 14, so how's that going to work? Well, actually everything shifts over a bit to the left to make room for the extra heart container, so now we have 15. And we also get a return secret for Oracle of Seasons, but we won't be able to redeem it until we finish level 2, so we'll just want to write it down for now. Let's get back to our non-linked game and take on the Gnarled Root Dungeon. In this room, you just need to push this block in the upper right, and that will open up the doors. If you head up here, you'll meet an old man that gives us a clue, but you don't have to go in there. The way we do need to go is over here to the right, where we need to clear out these Stalfos enemies to make a key appear. Use your powered up spin slash by holding down the attack button until your sword flashes, and that will make short work of those enemies. In this room, we'll head over to the left where we'll use the small key that we found, and if we clear the Stalfos out of this room, we'll find the map. So the map can be accessed by pressing select, and it will show us all of the rooms, even the ones we haven't been to yet. As always, the map is an optional item, but it is nice to have, and when we enter this room, the door closes behind us, and we won't be able to go back out without clearing the enemies. Although the way we actually need to go is into this minecart, and when we're riding a minecart, it will take us all the way to the end of the line. You can't just jump out of the cart. This is also optional, but if you push this block and head over here to the left, we can just push a few more blocks out of the way, and we'll be able to find a hidden chest that contains a Gasha seed. Gasha seeds are nice to have, especially if we intend to get all of the rings, so make sure to pick them up when you have the opportunity. With another Gasha seed in our pocket, we'll head back to this room, and we want to go up onto this ledge so that we can hit this switch, which will change the direction of the tracks. Also over here on the right, we can find the first compass, and of course the compass will tell us where the treasures are in the dungeon, and it will also make a sound whenever we're near a key. Now that we've flipped that switch, we just need to ride the minecart again, so we'll hop on into it, and this is going to take us over to the right side of the dungeon instead of back down. So we'll ride through this room with a very conspicuous treasure chest. We can come back for it by heading over to the left, and this one just contains some bombs, but maybe that's a clue about what we need to do here. That sound is of course the compass reminding us that a key is nearby, so don't miss this key over on the right side. You need to avoid that trap and then press the button, and a chest will appear containing it. We'll grab that key and then we'll need to get around this trap, and we want to stay up on the ledge and head over to the left. Up here we'll see a cracked wall, the telltale sign that we need to use our bombs. Equip the bombs from your inventory and drop one in front of the crack, and then move out of the way as it explodes so you don't take damage. In this room you'll need to clear out some of the bushes so that you'll be able to hide from the traps. So wait over here while that trap passes by, and watch out for one as you head up along the left wall. Over here we'll clear out a couple more bushes, one that contains a fairy, and there's a very fast moving trap that you need to avoid before heading straight up to a mini boss fight. These are the Goria brothers. I like to start out down in the lower left corner so I can try to work the two brothers down into that corner and then strike them with the sword from above. It doesn't matter which Goria brother you're hitting, just as long as you're hitting either of them, but if you can hit them both at the same time, you'll deal damage very quickly. And in this room, we'll find the seed satchel. It also comes with ember seeds, which is nice. The seed satchel in this game works just as it does in Oracle of Ages, and we will eventually get all of the same seed ammos, but for now, we only have the ember seeds, which we can use to burn enemies or small trees, and we can also use them to light lanterns. And if we go through the portal where we fought the mini-boss, it will take us to this room. Usually those portals take you to the dungeon entrance, but this time we'll be able to light some lanterns on the left side, and in this room we can fight some garden variety Gorias using our sword or ember seeds, and we'll find the boss key. We're going to need that to open the room to the dungeon's boss. With the boss key in our possession, we're almost at the end of this dungeon, so we just need to clear out the gels to open up the door at the bottom of this room, and in the next room down we'll need to clear out the Stalfos enemies so that we can open up the door on the right. So use your ember seeds or your sword, and in this room we know that we just have to push this block in the upper right corner, and that will take us to this room where we originally found a small key, but we can use our ember seeds to light those lanterns, which will open the way to this room. Use your sword to cut down the wall masters as you work your way up the left side of this room. Inside the chest, you'll find the discovery ring, and once you've had this ring appraised and equip it, it will make a sound anytime you're near a Gacha spot. Over here on the right, we'll encounter even more wall masters, so you don't want to get grabbed by these blue demonic hands. They'll take you all the way back to the dungeon entrance. It's not that big of a deal, but it is annoying, and once we get to the top of the room, we'll use the boss key to unlock the door, where we'll face Aqua Mentis. Aqua Mentis' weak point is its horn, and if you hit it with a fully charged spin slash attack, that does deal more damage, but it often triggers it to charge at you. You can just stay above Aqua Mentis slightly to the right of the horn and rapidly strike it, and if you notice that he's bending down to charge, just get out of the way. Once the boss is defeated, grab the heart container and enter this room where we'll find the fertile soil, our first essence of nature. Seeds scattered across bountiful lands are nourished in this fertile soil. As we exit the dungeon, we get a telepathic message from the Maku tree, because that's just how trees work. They know what you're thinking. It's science. The tree tells us that he saw the Temple of Seasons in a dream, so that must be where we need to go next. As soon as the message fades out, don't press any buttons and head to the right. We're going to strike this bush, then swing the sword 6 times. Now go up into this spot and push into this corner and let Maple hit you. If you did everything precisely, she should create a potion, and that is a very nice thing to start the game with. Maple is a witch that appears on certain screens in the overworld after we've cleared 30 enemies, and most of the time she'll only drop average items like rupees, bombs, and seeds, but occasionally she'll drop something better, and in this instance, we can manipulate her into dropping a red potion, which is a very nice item to have this early in the game. Whenever you bump into Maple, you may lose a few of your own items here and there, but you'll almost always end up with a better deal for yourself, so make sure to bump into Maple whenever you can. Malin here has been raising chickens, which are called cuckoos in this universe, and just like in many other Zelda games, if you attack one of these cuckoos, eventually a bunch of them will storm the screen and damage you. It's not recommended, you could definitely die. Over here on the screen where we met Maple, you can burn one of those small trees with your ember seeds to find 100 rupees, but we'll come back for that later. Right now we're going to harvest this Gosha nut, and there was a ring inside. Awesome! We'll have to take that to Vasu to get appraised. You'll notice that Impa has gone inside of her house, and if you need to refill your health, hold left near the top of this bed, and eventually you'll hop in and take a nap, which will refill all of your hearts. Once we're all refilled, we can go back outside and return to Horon Village. This time, it's summer. This guy tells us that he saw a strange woman to the east of town, and if you use your ember seeds, we can now burn these small trees. Over here near the mayor's house, we can harvest another Gosha nut, and we were lucky enough to find another ring. Not bad. It's a good idea to save your game before you harvest any Gosha nuts. Then if you get something that's not a ring, you can just reset and reload. Now that we have bombs, we can blow up the cracked wall in the mayor's house, and on the other side is a Gosha seed. So it seems like he may have had more than one prized possession. We can plant that Gosha seed in the soft soil right outside the mayor's house, and we've already harvested a Gosha nut from there, but we need all the rings that we can get, so we might as well plant another one. Up here we can use our ember seeds to make way for our first piece of heart. We'll need to find 3 more before we get a full heart container, but any piece of heart that we find will fully refill our health. This is the biologist's house. Now that we have the ember seeds, we can light the lantern next to him, and he'll give us the first item in the trade quest, the Cuckoo Dex. The item trading quest is completely optional in this game. You'll still be able to get the ultimate reward without doing it at all, but if you completely ignore the trading quest, you will miss out on an item or two, and you won't be able to use Syrup's potion shop. Of course, we will be doing the item trading quest in this guide, so we'll make sure to grab the Cuckoo Dex here. On this screen, if you burn the tree in the middle, you'll find a hidden stairway, and this old man will give us 100 rupees. That's awesome! We won't be able to get that chest on the right unless it's winter, so we'll have to come back for those rupees later. We found a few rings, so we'll bring them here to Vasu's jewelry store for appraisal. It costs 30 rupees to appraise each ring. Now, we knew this one was the discovery ring. We found that in level 1, but these two are random, so hopefully they're decent. This one protects from Zora fire, so I guess that's better than nothing. And this one increases our throwing distance, which is not super useful right now. Well, either of those is better than the friendship ring, but I think we'll just put on the discovery ring for now. The discovery ring makes a sound whenever we're near a place where we can plant a gacha seed, and some of those gacha spots are well hidden, so it's not the worst ring to have, although we'll hopefully be able to find some better ones soon. Once we have our rings in order, we just got the first item for the item trading quest, the Cucco Dex, and we know exactly who needs that item. Malin, who lives up here in North Horon. She's the one that's raising all of those cuckoos in that tiny house. So we'll just cut through this bush and we'll head over here to the right. And we'll go up near the stump, and that will take us to Malin's house. Whenever we talk to her this time, she'll ask us if we'll trade her the Cucco Dex, and when we do, she'll give us the Lon egg. Being that this item is an egg, you might suspect that we need to find someone who wants to make an omelet, but actually it's some sort of beauty product, and the person we need to give it to is Maple. We just ran into Maple, so we'll need to clear 30 more enemies before she'll appear again, and while that might seem like it'll take a long time, it will probably happen naturally by the time we finish level 2. The way that we need to go next is through Horon Village, but before we exit the village on the right side, we can stop in and see the Maku tree again, who you'll notice right away has gotten bigger. This tree is growing at an insane rate, and whenever we pop his bubble this time, he reminds us that we need to seek the Temple of Seasons. Down here, we can use our ember seeds to burn one of these small trees, but as soon as we try to, we meet the wandering prophet Sakura. And it seems like he was just taking a nap there, waiting for someone to come along that could burn that tree. After telling us once again that we need to be looking for the Temple of Seasons, he goes right back to sleep. What a legend. If we enter this mysterious cave, we'll hear a new piece of music being played. That music is being played by a man on a phonograph up on top of this ledge in front of the windmill. He wants some oil for the windmill so that it will go around more quickly, and that's just another thing that we'll have to trade. So we'll be on the lookout for some grease, and if we head over here on the right, we'll notice that there's a piece of heart that we just can't reach right now. There must be another way to get in there. To find the Temple of Seasons that everyone can't stop talking about, we need to enter the world of Subrosia, and to do that, we need to head over here to this screen where we'll meet a character named Rosa. We'll need to follow her to find the hidden portal to Subrosia, and we'll need to be stealthy about it. If we walk into her field of vision, she'll get scared and will run away. We'll have to go back down to the previous screen and we can start the stealth mission over again, but over here, be careful whenever you see these like enemies. Those things can eat your shield, and you'll have to buy another one in town. Up here, there's a hidden gacha spot, and we can plant one of our gacha seeds there. Now we'll head back down and try to follow Rosa correctly. She'll walk right past us here, so we don't have to worry about being stealthy until we get onto this screen, and then we can hide over here on the left side of the bottom tree, and then the right side of the top tree. Once Rosa has walked off the screen, we can head up here, where we can hide out over here near this tree. We're going to be using these trees for cover, and we'll just need to walk around them, so there's always something between us and Rosa. She should just go up and off the screen now, so just wait until she's gone, and then head up here on the far right side. If you're down here in the far right corner, Rosa should not see us as she walks around. and we can just wait in this one spot until she leaves the screen. Make sure she's definitely gone before you move. And up here we can read this sign, which says the winter forest is to the right, but we need to head over here to the left. We'll see Rosa disappear underneath a bush, and if we slash that bush with our sword, we'll find the portal we were looking for. This is Subrosia. It's a lava-filled subworld that seems to be located somewhere beneath the surface of the earth. If you take a look at the top of the screen, it appears that our rupees have been taken away, but they're not actually gone. They've just been replaced with ore chunks, which are a different form of currency that we'll use down here. The most common way to find ore chunks is to dig them up using the shovel, but we don't have the shovel just yet, so we won't be able to find any right now. There are a few other ways to get ore chunks, by playing a dancing mini game or by selling items at the market, but digging is by far the most common way to find them. Down here to the left of this active volcano, we'll find the Subrosian smithy, and we'll have to come back here later whenever we have something that needs mended. We may be able to improve our shield here, and we'll have to have another item polished there as well. As we walk over here to the right, we'll go past a couple of locked doors, which we'll have to find someone to unlock for us later. And over here, we'll finally find the Temple of Seasons. When it's sunk down under the ground in the opening cutscene, it must have fallen down here, and it's very lucky for us that it seems to be largely intact. There's a dead end over there on the right. The way that we need to go is straight up the middle. Whenever we reach this part of the path, we begin to hear voices. Voices that speak in different colors. But we're not going crazy. These are the voices of the spirits of the seasons. And eventually, we'll meet them all here in the temple. But first, we need to head straight up the middle and into the main room. And if we walk onto the altar in the center of this room, we'll be given a very important item. The Rod of Seasons. The Rod of Seasons is the key item in this game, and once we've imbued it with the power of the seasonal spirits, we'll be able to use it to change the seasons at our will. Before we leave this area, if you go behind the waterfall, you will find a hidden room, but there's nothing in there right now. This is a place that we would come back to if we were playing a linked game in Oracle of Ages. So don't worry about that room right now. Instead, we need to make our way to the tower in the lower right corner of the temple. Each of the 4 corners of the Temple of Seasons features a tower devoted to one of the 4 seasons, but the only one that we can get into right now is Winter, which is located down here. Inside the tower, we can't walk across the lava, so we need to flip the crystal switch on the other side. We can do this by tossing a bomb across, and whenever the switch is flipped, a hidden path will appear. And at the top of the stairs, we'll find this coal blue statue, which contains the Spirit of Winter. The Spirit of Winter will grant its power to the Rod of Seasons, and to use the Rod of Seasons, we need to find one of those stumps in the overworld, and if we stand on top of a stump and use the Rod of Seasons, it will change the season to winter. Changing the season to winter has numerous advantages. In areas where there's water, the water often will freeze, and then we can walk on the ice. In some places, large snowdrifts will appear, and we'll be able to walk on those as well. After changing the season to winter, some small piles of snow may block our path, but we'll be able to clear those out of the way once we find the shovel. Outside of the Winter Tower, we get another telepathic message from the Maku tree, and this time he tells us to take our wintry Rod of Seasons to the woods on the eastern side of the map. So that's where we need to go next. But before we leave Subrosia, there is one more thing that we can do. There's another useful item that we can find, and although this item is optional, it will be nice to have. That item is the Boomerang. The bad news is that to get the Boomerang, we'll need to complete a dancing minigame, but the good news is the minigame here is much easier than the one in Oracle of Ages. To find the Subrosian dance hall, we need to head down this way, which is below the portal where we first entered Subrosia, and we're just going to work our way down and to the left. Eventually, you'll come to a stairway, and that's where we need to go. So we'll just head down here, and this is the stairs that we were looking for, and we can talk to this guy to play the game. The Subrosian dance game is free to play, so you gotta like that, and it's not very difficult to understand. There are only 3 possible commands: right, left, and A. So we're just going to do whatever the instructor does, and we're going to be receiving our instructions in sets of 3. So we'll never have to do more than 3 commands. So just do the 3 commands that you see the instructor do, and you're not allowed to make any mistakes here, but it's a lot easier to do than the Goron dancing game, which had much more complex maneuvers, and the rhythm mattered there. The rhythm doesn't really matter here, just make sure you get the commands keyed in. The game has 10 rounds, and it does get faster as you go, so make sure that you pay attention. One of the rounds is almost always 3 of the same direction, so that one's always pretty easy. So just try not to get caught off guard when it gets very fast, and you should be able to win the Boomerang. Once you've won the Boomerang, you can go back into the Subrosian dance hall to play for other prizes. Usually you'll just win ore chunks, which might be nice to have since we don't have any at all right now, but it is possible to win other prizes, including a ring. I'm just going to zip through this because this minigame isn't terribly different each time, and I just want to show you the prizes that we can win. If you do manage to get the ring, you won't be able to win another one from this minigame, so don't keep trying to play for another ring, you won't find one. But we're not going to worry about getting the ring right now. A Gasha seed is not a bad secondary prize, and we're just going to head back out through the portal that we entered through. The portal is right near where we need to go anyways, and when we walk over here, it's our good friend the Wandering Prophet Sakura again. Sakura's been snoozing as usual, waiting for us to arrive, and he's noticed that we now have the power of winter imbued into the Rod of Seasons. He suggests that we stand on the stump nearby and swing that rod to unleash the power of winter. So that's what we're going to do. Thanks for the advice, Sakura. To hop onto the stump, you just need to sort of walk into it, and once you're up there, swing the rod to bring on the Ice Age. And at that moment, at least 500 species of plants and animals became extinct. Yeah, I have to imagine that suddenly making everything become covered in snow and ice has to be pretty bad for the local ecosystem, but it's what we need to do. And when we head up here, we'll go into another area where the default season is summer. If we use a bomb on this cracked wall, we'll be able to enter a cave, and inside we'll find a chest that contains some rupees. Not bad. But that's not what we really need to do here. What we need to do is change the season back to winter, But before we do that, we can check out this cave. There's not a whole lot in here, but we will be coming back that way later. So now we'll do what needs to be done. We'll stand on top of this stump, and we'll bring on the winter chill again. Now, whenever we climb up the stairs over here on the right side of the screen and head over to the right, there will be a snowdrift we can walk onto, and we can enter this house through the chimney. In other seasons, the front door of this house would be closed, so going in through the chimney during winter is the only way to get in. In other seasons, the front door to this house would be closed and locked, so the only way to get in is through the chimney during winter. The girl inside is not fooled. She knows we're not Santa Claus, and she gives us a shovel and expects us to use it to clear her walkway, which we will happily do for her. We definitely needed the shovel. Not only can it be used to get snow out of our way, but we can dig up the ground to find rupees and other hidden items. If we set this tree on fire, we'll find another one of those rooms with an old man inside, but do not talk to that guy. He will steal your money, so just leave him alone. Down here, we'll walk past a piece of heart, but we'll need the power bracelet to get it, so we'll have to come back later. Instead, we'll stand on this stump and use the power of winter, which will make the nearby trees lose their leaves, and now we'll be able to walk around them. From here, we can head towards the next dungeon, or if we want to grab a quick piece of heart, we can head down this way. We'll walk past that Gasha seed that we planted, and head down here near where we first met Maria. We want to make our way to the area near where the guy is playing the phonograph in front of the windmill. So just walk around this way and head over to the right. If it's not currently winter, you'll need to use the stump here to change it to winter because we need this snowdrift to walk across. We'll find a cave that we can enter right here, and inside we'll be able to grab a piece of heart. We just need 2 more to get an extra heart container. Now that we have that piece of heart, where is the entrance to level 2? Well, to find it, we'll need to head back the way that we came, and we won't be able to walk through that snowdrift, so we'll just need to head down and around. So we'll go up here, past the windmill guy, and we're going to equip the boomerang that we just got down in Subrosia, and we can try it out. The boomerang will stun most enemies, although there are a few smaller enemies that it can kill, like bats. The boomerang can grab items that are dropped by enemies, so you can use it to pick up rupees or small hearts, things like that. But what we'll use the boomerang for the most is to kill anti-fairies or spark-type enemies, and when you kill a spark enemy with the boomerang, it'll turn into a fairy, so that is extremely useful. We'll use the shovel to get through the snow, and up here we'll find a new type of seed called mystery seeds. Whenever you use a mystery seed, it will generate a random seed effect, but the thing we'll use it for the most is to activate these owl statues, which can give us hints. Up here, if you're low on health, you can use the stump to change the season to winter, and then we'll be able to cross the ice and enter this small cave. Inside, if we cut one of the bushes, we'll find a fairy. We'll definitely want to have full health, because over here on the left, we'll find the entrance to level 2, Snake's Remains. But before we get started on that dungeon, let's take a look at another linked game secret. Once you have the shovel, you can go to this area near the entrance to level 2 and change the season to winter. Inside this cave, you'll meet a great fairy who will ask us to do her a favor. She has a secret for Tingle, who lives outside of Lina Village. Now, I don't know if I really want to be sharing secrets with someone like Tingle, but we'll write down what the fairy has to say, and we'll load up our completed Oracle of Ages game, where we'll enter this cave to the right of Lina City, and approach Tingle. Remember that we'll need to jump using the Rock's Feather and pop Tingle's balloon before he'll be able to talk to us. And he says, "Do you by chance know secrets cooler than Tingle?" I mean, I think almost everything is cooler than Tingle, so that's not really a high bar. But we'll give him the secret that the fairy in the cave gave us, and whenever we do, he'll improve our seed satchel. If you already had one seed satchel upgrade here in Oracle of Ages, this will allow you to carry 99 of each seed type, and then Tingle will give us a return password that we'll be able to use in Oracle of Seasons, but we won't be able to redeem it until we finish level 2. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's return to our unlinked game and take on the Snake's Remains. Here in this darkened first room, we can use our Ember Seeds to light these 2 lanterns, and that will open the door, but we don't want to go up there just yet. Instead, head over here to the left. There's a chest in this room, but it only contains a measly 5 rupees, so feel free to skip it if you want to. Instead, we want to head up to this room, where we'll need to defeat all the enemies. These snakes are technically known as ropes in the Zelda universe, and try to stay on the opposite side of the blocks and attack them through the blocks for safety. When they're all defeated, you'll find a small key, and then we can head back to the first room. You'll see that the lanterns are still lit, so we can just go right up through the door, and in this room we want to head over to the right. In here, we'll clear out some more enemies, and once they're all defeated, we'll be able to push that one block that's out of place over to the right, and that will make a chest appear that contains the compass. Usually, you'll find the map before the compass in this game, but not this time, so we can vaguely see where the treasures are, but we can't see all the rooms just yet. In this room up here, you'll see an arrow pointing towards the wall. Now that's trying to give us a clue, and you'll notice when you tap on the wall near the point of the arrow that it makes a different sound, which indicates that it can be opened up with a bomb. Inside, we'll find a ton of rupees, almost 200 of them, and we'll want to pick all of those up before we head back out. So grab these rupees, and once you're done, head back through the wall. Remember that key that we got earlier? Well, we'll need to use it here, and in this room, you want to knock these hard hat beetles into the pit, and that will make the door open. That's the only way we'll be able to defeat those right now. In this room, we'll need to use bombs to defeat the Moblins on the other side of the pit. The Boomerang is extremely useful here. Stun the Moblins first, and then hit them with a bomb. When they're both defeated, a chest will appear containing the Power Bracelet. The Power Bracelet allows us to pick up objects. Usually we're going to use it to pick up clay pots like the ones in this room, but it definitely has other uses. Whenever we move the pots out of the way here, we'll be able to open the chest containing the dungeon map. Now we can see everything. From the map, we know that we need to go down and to the right, but before we do that, we can pick up some of these clay pots to see what items might be hidden underneath. In this room, we do need to clear out the enemies to open a door on the right side. The Boomerang and the sword will help us accomplish that. And in this room, watch out for snakes that drop from the ceiling. Clear out all the enemies again, and then we're going to push the farthest block on the right. That will open up the door. So push it over to the right so that it goes into normal position, and quickly move out of the way of the traps in this room and open this chest, which contains a small key. This key is pretty easy to find, but the next one is a bit trickier. You want to head into this room, where we'll use our Power Bracelet to push these rollers out of the way. push this one to the left and quickly head to the stairs, and that will take us outside the dungeon, where we'll find a chest containing a Gasha seed. But then, if we head over to the left, we'll find another stairway that leads back into level 2. There's a bush on the left side of this room that's actually a Deku scrub, and this guy will sell us 10 bombs for 30 rupees, and considering we're going to need at least 6 bombs to get through the next room, if you don't have enough, you may need to take him up on that offer. So we'll head up into this room, where we need to very quickly bomb our way to the chest in the center of the room. Make sure to follow this path and do not waste time. If you take too long getting to the chest will disappear and we'll need to leave the room and start over. So make sure you take this outside circle route, get through into the center, and quickly open the chest before it disappears. This one contains a small key. We should now have 2 small keys in our inventory, and we're going to head back out the same way that we came in. If you were able to get the key, don't worry about buying more bombs from that Deku scrub. We'll be able to get some for free quite soon. So back here into the dungeon, we need to use our power bracelet to push these rollers out of the way. Don't let the rollers roll on top of you. They'll squash you and send you back to the beginning of the room with a little bit of damage. It's more annoying than anything, but try to avoid letting it happen to you. And we're going to go back up into this room and head over to the right. And in here, we'll find some bombs hidden in the bushes, so we'll be able to refill our supply. And then we just need to use one to get through these cracked blocks in the middle of the room. Once we've collected a few more bombs on the other side, we'll head down the stairs, and we'll need to cross one of these side-scrolling passages. Let the thwomp drop down and drop on top of it, and then quickly run under these smaller thwomps as you go to the left. We'll emerge from the passage in the upper left corner of the map, and once again we'll need to use our power bracelet to push some rollers out of the way. There's a chest down here with a few rupees in it, so you may want to grab those. It's at least 10 this time, which is more than the 5 that we found earlier. This room has some cracked spots on the floor, and you'll want to avoid standing on those while you're pushing the rollers, because they will give way and then you'll fall into a pit, which will deal you half a heart of damage and send you back to the beginning of the room. So just try to avoid standing on those cracks for very long, and work your way over to the right side of the room, and down here in the lower right corner, we'll unlock a door that leads to a mini-boss. This boss is called Facade, and you may remember him from Link's Awakening, but he has a few new tricks here. He's still a face that lives in the center of the floor, so you want to try to start out the battle by dropping a bomb in the center of the floor before making him appear. If you stand 2 green squares in from the left or the right side, you should be in a pretty good spot to toss a bomb onto Facade, or you can walk right into the center of the room and simply drop one right on his face. Once Facade is out of the way, go through the door on the right side to continue our quest. In this room, there's some enemies that might get in the way, so we'll use our boomerang and sword. And in here, we'll need to unlock this key block using our last small key. And if those spark enemies get in the way, you can clear them using the boomerang. In this room, you'll hear a tone signaling that there's a key nearby, but we can't get it just yet. Instead, we want to come down into this room, where we'll follow along on these moving platforms to get over to the right side. Up here, we'll open a chest to reveal the boss key. Now we just need to find the boss. Getting to the boss involves navigating one of those rotating dial obstacles, so we want to go through it from the top first. That will put us out into this room, where we'll simply need to use a bomb to open up a wall at the crack. We can get some more bombs in those bushes in the corner, and up here we can push that pot out of the way, and then we need to go across this room to the right, and in this room with the 2 lines of green tiles we'll go down. Now we'll ride these platforms over to the left, and this time when we go through the rotating dial, we'll be put out at the bottom. This is what we've been looking for. On the right side of this room, you'll see the boss door, and if you use a mystery seed on this owl statue, he'll give us a clue about how to defeat the boss. We can pick up these pots to get a few last-minute items before we enter the boss's chamber, and we can maybe use those as weapons as well, so don't be afraid to throw a pot at a snake. And over here we'll get a few more bombs and hearts, and we're going to need both of those things when we face Dodongo. Equip your bombs and the power bracelet, and you want to stand near the front of Dodongo's face. Whenever he opens his mouth, you need to quickly toss a bomb into it. If you're not fast enough, he'll spit a fireball at you. Whenever you toss a bomb into Dodongo's open mouth, he will inflate, and then you'll be able to pick him up using the power bracelet. You'll need to toss him into the spikes in the center of the room for the hit to count. Now, if you see Dodongo start to shuffle his feet, that means he's going to charge at you, so you want to get out of the way. Stay close enough to Dodongo's head so that you can toss a bomb into him, and it will take 4 hits to defeat the boss. Once Dodongo has gone extinct, we can pick up the heart container that he's left behind, and then we'll head down into this room where we'll find our second essence of nature, the Gift of Time. Seeds sprout as seasons change with the Gift of Time. Outside of the dungeon, we receive another telepathic message from the Maku tree. This time the Maku tree dreamed of a place called Spool Swamp, and he says it's somewhere out west. So I guess that's where we need to go next. But first, let's pick up this rock and head over here, where we should meet Maple if we defeated enough enemies in the dungeon. Usually when we bump into Maple, there's a mad scramble for rupees and bombs or whatever else were in our collective pockets. But this time, because we have the Lon Lon egg, we're just going to do a simple item trade. Maple says that boys don't need a Lon Lon egg, and then she gives us a doll. Kinda having trouble following that line of logic. The ghastly doll looks like something that I shouldn't turn my back on. That thing is definitely gonna murder me in my sleep, and I kinda wish we had the Lon Lon egg back, but I guess that's just how the item trade quest works. Now that we have the power bracelet, we can get a heart piece down in the lower right corner of the Woods of Winter. Make sure that you've changed the season to winter, and you'll be able to go around these trees. Head across this ice, and down here we'll be able to pick up this rock using our bracelet, and we'll be able to grab yet another piece of heart. We only need one more to get a new heart container. To get to the western side of the map where the Spool Swamp is, we'll need to cut through Horon Village and take the northern exit. To get back to the village, we're just going to keep heading to the left and down. We'll equip our Boomerang to make these Moblins easier to clear. And we're just going to walk over here, and we'll just keep heading down and to the left. On this screen, there's a Gosha nut that we can harvest, and let's see what we got. A ring! Excellent! Now, if we want to, we could just go right back here and plant another Gosha seed. Just remember, if you do that, to return later to harvest the Gosha nut. So yeah, we'll plant another seed for now. We want to get as many rings as we can. The rings that you get from Gosha nuts are random, but you'll only be able to get certain rings depending on where you planted the seed. so it's not completely random. Most of the rings that you can find are pretty underwhelming, but there are a handful of good ones, so we're on the lookout for those. And if we head over here to the left, we've returned to Horon Village, and right now we've randomly gotten the winter season, although with our Rod of Seasons, we could use the stump down at the bottom of town to change the season to winter at will. We'll appraise that ring that we just found. This one's the Zora ring that allows us to dive without coming up for a breath. We don't have the flippers just yet, but that ring is a pretty good one, so maybe we'll put it in our ring box anyways. We don't really need the discovery ring. I already know where all the gacha spots are. Alright, well, that ring doesn't actually do anything at the moment, but at some point in the game, it could come in handy. Down here, we'll find the Horon Village Ember Seed Tree, and this tree only bears seeds in the winter, so keep that in mind if you need to get some more. The winter season has frozen the small pond to the right of the biologist's house, so we'll just need to cut through his house and walk over the pond to grab 20 rupees from this chest. Not bad. Once we have that cash, we can head back out the same way that we came in, and if you did not grab the 100 rupees that you can get by burning a tree on that screen, now's a good time to do it. Up here, we can visit the Maku tree, and you'll notice right away when you get in here that this tree is enormous now, and there's a door that we can enter on the right side. You'll see a woman over on the left, but she won't be able to do anything for us unless we're playing a linked game. Instead, we'll follow this path up into the Maku tree's canopy, and there's not a whole lot going on up there right now, but whenever we finish another dungeon, we'll be able to find a gacha seed, and after finishing a few more dungeons, there will be a lot more in that area for us to see, so we should return there frequently. Before we leave town, there are 3 possible animal companions that we can get in this game, and we'll only be able to choose one of them. We need to make that decision very soon, or the decision will be made for us by default. Here in the town shop, you'll see an item for 150 rupees called the Strange Flute. If you purchase this Strange Flute, Moosh, the flying bear, will be your permanent animal companion. If you've completed level 2 and have been picking up gacha nuts, we should definitely stop and visit Bippin and Blossom, where we'll have to make a decision. Baby Kylo is sick, and they need some money for healthcare. Now, if you're just trying to min-max this experience, you should only give them 1 rupee. The child can grow up into 4 different professions: a warrior, a singer, an arborist, or a slacker, and if you give 1 rupee, you'll be able to get all 4 different possibilities except for the arborist. Now, if you give 50 rupees, all 4 possibilities will still be on the table, so if you want to keep your options open, you should give 50 rupees. But if you just want to get the best reward out of this and make the most net profit, you should only give 1. Now, we can only spare 1 rupee for Bippin and Blossom to take care of their dying child, but we can blow $100 on this useless advance ring that doesn't actually do anything. It's the GBA Nature Ring, and it has no effect on gameplay at all. It's just a trophy that we can add to our collection. Now that we're done over in the village, we can make our way to the Spool Swamp. On this screen, we were unable to lift up the rocks before, and now we can, so we'll be able to continue on north. As soon as you go through that gate, the season will change to spring. And here, you need to watch out for these enemies. If you strike a buzz blob with your sword, it will damage you. But if you use mystery seeds, yep, in this game you can turn them into a Chukmon, and then you can try to talk to that enemy. He says some weird stuff, but a Chukmon is still a dangerous enemy, so be careful when you're doing that. Up here we'll find a new tree. This one gives us scent seeds. Scent seeds work like monster bait, and we can drop them on the ground to lure in certain enemy types. Down here we'll find Blaino's gym, and Blaino is a recurring enemy character from The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. We'll need to bet 10 rupees to get into a boxing match with him, and we won't be able to use any items, just punches. We need to knock Blaino out of the ring without him doing the same to us, and this guy is no Mike Tyson. He won't actually damage you if you get touched by Blaino, so try to stay away from the edges of the ring, get close to him, and just start rapidly tapping the buttons, and you should be able to easily knock him out. For our troubles, we'll get Ricky's gloves, an item that we are going to need in just a moment. If you want to play him again for money, you can, but yeah, we'll just leave that alone for now. And whenever you head outside, make sure you re-equip your weapons, because you will have nothing on when you get out of the gym. And we'll head back past the scent seed tree, walk by the buzz blobs without touching them, and then we'll head up here and to the left. We can't get across that hole right now, so we just want to follow this bridge over here across the Holodrum Plain, and up in this area we'll meet Ricky, the enormous kangaroo. For Link to fit in this guy's pouch, he has to be proportionally like the size of a minivan. If we have the gloves, Ricky will join us, and if you don't have any strange flutes in your inventory at this point in the game, Ricky will also become our permanent animal companion and will give us Ricky's flute. Ricky is the default choice of the 3 animal companions here in Oracle of Seasons, so if you don't pick up a strange flute before this point in the game, your decision will be made for you. We will be talking about the other 2 possible animal companions, and I'll show you what you need to do to get them, but as far as choices go, Ricky is not a bad one. He can jump over holes, he can leap up onto ledges, and his punches can clear enemies like buzz blobs, and you can even charge them up for a more powerful whirlwind effect. Now that Ricky is our permanent animal companion, we can call him using the Ricky flute, although we won't be able to call him just anywhere. It works in most areas of the overworld, although not all of them, and it does not work in Subrosia or in dungeons. If you decide to go down this hidden stairway, you'll notice that on the map it's marked with a black star. That means do not talk to the old man in here. Any of the ones that are marked with a black star instead of a yellow one, a yellow star is good, but the old men with the black stars will take away your money, so definitely do not talk to that guy. You'll see that there's a Spool Swamp shortcut over to the left. We'll need the ability to swim to use that shortcut, so don't worry about it for now. Inside this small house, we'll meet a woman named Mrs. Rule, who's looking for something creepy that will send chills down her spine. We will happily trade over the ghastly doll, and for our troubles, we'll get the iron pot. The iron pot looks a little bit dirty, but that's how cast iron pots are supposed to be. You don't wash those with soap, you need to scrub them with coarse salt. Over here, Ricky will demonstrate his ability to leap up ledges, which I guess is kind of useful, but there really aren't that many of those type of ledges in the game. Up here, we'll find a sign that confirms what we were hoping for. The Spool Swamp is to the left. It also says there's something called the Tarm Ruins up here, but there's a gate blocking our way. This sign says that they carry treasure maps at the Horon shop. Maybe we'll need to ask over there about how to get in. But for now, we can just head over to the left, where we'll find a tree that bears the Pegasus seeds. Whenever you eat one of these seeds using your seed satchel, it will make Link run faster for a short amount of time. It will also allow you to jump farther whenever we get the Roc's Feather, but we don't have that just yet. Over on the left, we'll see the Wandering Prophet Sakura sleeping as usual, and up here in the upper right corner of the swamp, we'll meet the Floodgate Keeper, and he says that he's lost the key to the Floodgate. Well, it's right over here, guy. Just flip the switch and the water will drain out of the small pool, and inside we'll find the key we need. So make sure to grab the Floodgate key, and then whenever we go outside, the pond nearby will also have drained, and there will be a stairway revealed. If we use a mystery seed on this owl, he will suggest that we need to use our Pegasus seeds, and we do. So eat a Pegasus seed, touch the button, and then quickly run across the bridge. You won't have time to get across it without a seed. Over here, we'll need to use our power bracelet and pick up that rock while pushing those green ones out of the way. And then we'll just keep using these Pegasus seeds to quickly get around this cave. And over here, we'll find the stairway that leads over to another wing of the cave. And this one has some enemies that are hiding in bushes, so watch out for those as you walk over to the next staircase. And up here, we'll emerge on the other side of the swamp. The Prophet Sakura has been waiting for us over here for who knows how long, so we'll go wake him up and see what he has to say. He tells us that we need a new power of season, and we'll have to find another portal to Subrosia to get it. Oh, interesting. Down here, we'll find a Deku Scrub who has a clue for us. It seems that the portal is somewhere south of the Floodgate. He'll also sell us a shield for 50 bucks if we need one, but we already have a shield, so we're not going to take him up on that offer. Down here, we can pick up a rock to find a hidden Gacha spot, and we'll plant another seed for harvesting later. Over here, we'll see a mysterious keyhole, and when we insert the Floodgate key, the gates will be open, and the water will rush through. This is actually a good thing because the water is not very deep and we'll actually be able to walk on it. So we won't need the flippers to swim down there. It's just going to be a marshy floodplain kind of thing. We have Ricky, so we can call on him here, and he will make it easier to clear out the enemies, and we will also need his ledge jumping abilities. If you don't have Ricky, you will meet your permanent animal companion here in this area, and I'll show you more about that later. Either way, you want to use that stump to change the season to winter. There will be fewer enemies in this area when you change the season to winter, and that will make it easier to navigate. If you have Ricky, you'll hop up onto this ledge, and you'll work your way down here. Then we'll need to hop up on another ledge, so get into the right spot and hop up there. And whenever we come down this way, we can use Ricky's charged up punch to clear out the bushes. And down here, there's another Gacha spot, so we'll need to dismount from Ricky and pick up this rock. And we can plant another seed there, except that at the moment, we don't have any Gacha seeds in our inventory, so we'll need to find another one before we can plant it. This, of course, was the portal to Subrosia that everyone was talking about, but before we go on to that, let's talk about how to get the other two animal companions. I mentioned before that to get Moosh, we'll need to purchase the strange flute for 150 rupees at the Horon shop. And then after opening the floodgates here in the Spool Swamp, we'll change the season to winter, but we won't be able to jump up onto that ledge because we don't have Ricky. Instead, we'll need to come through this way and head up into this corner where we'll find Moosh being antagonized by a group of Moblins. The Moblins want Moosh's bananas, which is a reoccurring theme in these games. After Moosh eats the bananas, he suddenly has the energy to fend them off. But the last Moblin does threaten to avenge his defeated comrades. And soon after we talk to Moosh, the Moblins show back up in increased force. They sure picked the wrong elfin boy to mess with. They call me Link the Butcher of Moblins. Yeah, you might say that next time it'll be different, but you know that it won't be. Moosh will be so happy that we helped out that he will become our permanent animal companion. Now the strange flute turns into Moosh's flute, and we can use it to summon Moosh in most parts of the overworld. Moosh has the ability to hover, but he can't swim. So whenever you jump with Moosh, if you just keep tapping the button, you'll be able to float around, and you can even move in different directions while you're floating. So just rapidly tap the jump button while you're going over those gaps, and if you hold down the jump button while Moosh is in the air, he will charge up an attack, and he'll pound the ground whenever you let it go. So charge it up and slam, and you can use that to clear out these snow piles. You can also use that to attack enemies. It's not the greatest attack, and it's the only one that Moosh has, so as far as offensive power goes, Moosh is kinda weak. We'll butt slam our way through this area, and although we took a good bit of damage there, we're still doing okay, and we'll be able to pick up this rock and head down into the portal to Subrosia. Now you're probably thinking, what about the third animal companion? Well, if you want Dimitri to be your permanent animal friend, you're going to have to work for it. We need to go to the Subrosian dance hall, and you need to keep winning this minigame until you finally get a strange flute as the prize. The prize that you get is random, so you may need to play the game several times before you win the flute. Let's see if we got it this time. No, we got a Gasha seed again. So keep playing the game, and eventually you will win the strange flute, and this green strange flute is the one we'll be able to use to summon Dimitri. Now back here in the Spool Swamp area, after opening the floodgates, we're going to walk down sort of the same way that we did whenever we were looking for Moosh, except we're going to go to this corner, which is covered in ice. This time, instead of fighting off the Moblins, we'll need to pay them off with cash. This feels a lot like negotiating with terrorists, but there's really no way around it. Pay these guys the money they ask for, and they will release Dimitri. Personally, I prefer paying the iron price, so these guys are lucky that I'm feeling generous right now. Dimitri will be so happy that we paid his ransom that he will transform the strange flute we got in the Subrosian dance hall into Dimitri's flute, and it will turn red. Now we can play that flute to summon Dimitri in most parts of the overworld. Dimitri moves slowly, but he can swim, and that is a huge advantage because we won't get the flippers and be able to swim ourselves until after completing the next dungeon. Dimitri can also eat enemies, and if you need to get him across pits, you can pick him up with your power bracelet and toss him like a rock. So I guess that's kinda good. He can also eat snow, so if you need to get some snow out of your way, he can just chomp it. And he also does quite a number on those enemies that come out of the pits, so just eat those guys before they can deal you any damage and work your way around. We'll head straight up here where we'll find the rock that leads to the Subrosian portal, and that is how you get each of the 3 possible animal companions. Now we're going to switch back to our game where we have the default choice Ricky, and we'll continue our quest here in Subrosia. Remember Rosa, the woman with the bow that we followed the first time that we came here to Subrosia? Well, she has a special ability to unlock doors, and we're going to need her help here. She also appears to be a pop star, and everyone is very excited by her presence. Rosa's trademark bow is missing, and if we can find it, she'll happily help us out. The bow is currently being sold in the local store, but you won't be able to get it unless you have star-shaped ore to trade for it. To find the star-shaped ore, you may need to dig up this entire beach area. So get your shovel out and start digging. It could be pretty much anywhere. We need some normal ore chunks anyways so that we can buy other supplies. So even after we find the star-shaped ore, which we just did, we may want to continue digging until we have a bit more money. You will not find the star-shaped ore in the same place every time, so just keep digging on this beach until it turns up. All of these guys desperately want to go on a date with Rosa, but all we really need is to borrow her keys. This guy's worked out that Rosa needs her ribbon back, and we're still digging along looking for some more chunks. But once we're done, we're going to head up here and over to the left. So just go over to the left and there's the market. Head on inside. This guy has lots of good stuff for sale, but the most important thing is the ribbon. He'll trade us for the star-shaped ore, and we have no other use for the star-shaped ore, so we'll happily make that deal. The rare peach stone is obviously a piece of heart, and we can purchase that for 20 ore chunks and 10 ember seeds. A very good deal, especially since now we got a full heart container for having 4 pieces. If we had gale seeds, we would be able to trade them for more ore chunks, but we don't have gale seeds just yet. We'll head down here and we'll talk to this guy who says the market carries a lot of strange things that were found in the temple. So that's good to know. But now that we have the ribbon, let's go over to the right here where we'll be able to find Rosa. We're definitely not done purchasing items from the market, so we'll keep digging to find more ore chunks. This guy tells us that Rosa's magical necklace unlocks doors, but I thought it was actually the ring of keys that she carries that did it. Weird. We'll find Rosa staring sadly out across a sea of blood. Whenever we give her her bow back, she'll be so happy that she insists we go on a date. Alright, I guess if that's what you want. Rosa will start following us around, and now she'll unlock any doors that we come across. We also have 50 ore chunks right now, which is just enough to buy the bomb upgrade at the market. So trade 10 bombs and 50 ore chunks to get the upgrade. It doesn't matter that you gave away your bombs, you'll actually get a full supply whenever you make the deal. This upgrade will allow us to carry 30 bombs, which is 20 more than we could carry before. It's an optional upgrade, but definitely a good one. Just above the market, we'll find one of the locked doors that Rosa can help us with. It doesn't matter how many doors we unlock, Rosa has unlimited keys. We need to go to the temple so that Rosa can unlock one of the doors there for us and we'll be able to get a new power for our Rod of Seasons. But if you want to win a bunch of ore chunks, we could head back to the Subrosian dance hall. Now that we're past the point in the game where you could win the strange flute, you'll notice that you win the ore chunks a lot more often. You do need to do the game perfectly, and I'm just going to speed through this because we've seen it before, but you'll win ore usually in 50 ore increments. You could still win other prizes like Gasha seeds or maybe even a ring, but the ore chunks are a pretty common prize at this time in the game, although I still think it's easier to just dig up the ore chunks that you need. However, if you're really good at that dancing game, you can win a bunch of chunks in a hurry. Once we're done dancing, we can make our way over to the temple. It of course is over here on the right, so just follow the path. And this time we're going to go to the tower in the upper left. So we'll head up here, And we'll cut over to the left. So we'll walk past a tower that we can't get into right now. That's the one for spring. But we'll be able to unlock this one, which leads to the power of summer. You'll need to use your power bracelet in here to lift up a few of the rocks, but it's not like it's a puzzle or anything, just make your way to the stairs. And up here, we'll meet the summer spirit. The power of summer is most typically used to make vines appear, which we can climb on. You'll often see grooves on a wall. That's where vines will normally appear during the summer season. Summer does have a few other uses though. Certain areas in the game will dry up whenever it's summertime, and you'll be able to find hidden stairways under what used to contain water. Now you may be wondering, how do we use the rod considering that there's 2 different seasons that it can produce? Well, it's actually very simple. Whenever you're standing on a stump, just wave the rod of seasons, and if you wanted to get winter and you got summer instead, you just wave it a second time. Keep waving the rod of seasons until you get the season that you were looking for. Although right now we don't have access to the spring or autumn powers, but eventually we will, and we may have to wave the rod several times to get the effect we are looking for. The power of summer was all that we needed to be able to unlock the next dungeon, but we got some more ore chunks from playing that dancing game, and if we take them to the market, we can now trade 40 of them and 20-cent seeds to get a Gasha seed. It's always nice to have some more Gasha seeds, so probably worth picking up. There's actually a Gasha spot right near the portal in the Spool Swamp, so we can plant it right there. Don't worry about Rosa, she won't go through the portal, and if we ever want to go on a date with her again, we simply just have to talk to her on the beach and she'll happily go out with us another time. Down here, we'll plant that seed, and then we'll hop up this way to get to where level 2 is. If Ricky is not your animal companion, you may need to go a different way, but it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. So just work your way up here. We don't actually have to go onto that screen, I just wanted to open it up on the map. And then we'll head up to this path, which is where we opened the Floodgate. We need to head back to the stump, which is over here on the left, so that we can change the season to summer. And we'll just wave our rod of seasons, and we got winter first, but there's summer. That's what we were looking for, and now we'll be able to climb up these vines into the poison moth's lair. But before we tackle that dungeon, it's time for some linked game secrets. And now that we've finished level 2, we can go inside the Maku tree, where we can redeem those secrets that we got in Oracle of Ages. This woman, who lives inside the Maku tree, is the Oracle of Secrets. She doesn't get her own game, and it doesn't seem like the bad guys are trying to capture her like the other 2 oracles, but she's still very important. She asks if we know the secret to traveling through time, which is just her weird way of asking if we got any passwords from Oracle of Ages that we want to use here. Right now we have one that we got from a fairy that's good for a heart container, and then we have another one that we learned from Tingle, which we can redeem for a seed satchel upgrade. The seed satchel upgrade will allow us to carry 30 of each seed, so that's very nice. And if we learn any more return secrets, we can come back here to redeem them as well. And we'll be able to get a new one soon enough because there's a couple secrets we can find between levels 2 and 3. One of them is over here in the house where we got the shovel. Turn the season back to winter and drop down the chimney again. Anytime after finishing level 2, you'll meet a dark-haired woman here that asks a favor of us. I like this secret because it provides a little bit of backstory to one of the most notorious items from Oracle of Ages, the Touching Book. It seems that it was written by a woman in Symmetry City 400 years in the past. I'm not sure how this woman in Oracle of Seasons knew that we had time-traveling abilities in another game. Maybe she just asks everyone who comes down her chimney if they would carry a message 4 centuries into the past. I don't know, but we are able to do that, so we'll be able to pay it off by talking to this woman. Did you say plus DQ parenthesis L? Amazing! I had no idea others knew the secrets of Symmetry. And then she increases the size of our ring box. Makes total sense. A nut for a jar of tuna. The ring box upgrade will allow us to carry 2 more rings in our inventory, but we'll still only be able to have 1 equipped at a time. This woman also gives us a return secret that we can take here inside the Maku tree in Oracle of Seasons, and we'll be able to redeem it to get a ring box upgrade in this game as well. Right now, this will give us the level 2 ring box, so we'll only be able to hold 3 rings, but later on in the game, we'll meet a Goron who will increase the size of our ring box again to the maximum size of 5 possible rings. Not bad. But that's not the only linked game secret that we can do right now. After unlocking the Floodgate, return to the Floodgate operator's house, and we'll meet a woman who claims to be the mother of Mamamu Yon, the top dog breeder of Labrina. It seems that the gate guy is also from Labrina, so she just happens to be here right now. She wants us to give a secret to her daughter, and we'll have to write this one down and take it to our completed Oracle of Ages game. Of course, we know where Mamamu Yon's house is. It's down here in the corner of Lina City in the present time. This time, we won't just immediately get the reward. No, it seems that Mamamu Yon has lost her precious dog, and he's out roaming the city. She's going to ask us to help find him, and yeah, I'm always down to help someone find their lost dog, so we'll be happy to do her this favor. The dog will be found in a random location somewhere in the city, so we may need to walk all over the whole thing to find him. It's a good idea to equip the Power Glove and the Pegasus Seeds, so that whenever we do find the dog, he'll be easier to catch. So we'll just start walking around the city, looking for a dog. No dog here. No dog here. No dog. And there's the dog. So we use the Pegasus Seeds and we'll grab him with the Power Glove. And as soon as you grab the dog, you'll be teleported back to Mamamu Yon's house by some sort of dog magic. The reward is a ring, and we'll need to get it appraised at Vasu's jewelry shop. There's no return secret this time. Instead, we'll need to get the ring appraised, and then we'll get our ring secret. We'll take the ring secret back to Vasu's jewelry shop in Oracle of Seasons, and that will allow us to get the ring there. If you're playing a linked game, you'll want to have gotten your ring secret earlier. You could do it anytime after talking to Vasu and getting the friendship ring. The reward here is the snowshoe ring, and this one prevents you from sliding on ice, so that's not a terrible prize. This is a unique ring that can only be found here, so you will need to do this linked game secret if you intend to get all of the rings in the game. To get the snowshoe ring and get credit for the secret here in Oracle of Seasons, we will give the ring secret password that we just got in Oracle of Ages to the red snake here in Oracle of Seasons. And this password isn't terribly long, but it is longer than the other secrets that we've been doing lately. So if you don't want to write this one down, maybe just take a picture of it with your phone. And now we have the snowshoe ring in our inventory, so if we want to use it, we can. But I don't think it's going to be better than like the gold joy ring or the blue ring, which are two very good rings to be using in a linked seasons game. The first time we go through the upper part of North Horon in a linked game, we'll run into Princess Zelda and the Great Moblin. The Great Moblin is not happy to see us. He remembers the beating that we put on him back in Labrina and runs away. He does leave a few of his cronies for us to fight off, but they are very easy to defeat. Once all of the enemies have been defeated, the Great Moblin retreats, and then Princess Zelda introduces herself to us. Yeah, we already know who you are, Zelda. Your name's like on the cartridge. You're a legend. After letting us know that she had a dream about us and it was a nightmare, Zelda gives us a ring. Once we appraise this ring, we'll find out that it's the Blue Joy Ring, and this is the only place in this game where we'll be able to find that one, although we can get the Blue Joy Ring for doing a similar Zelda-related quest in an Oracle of Ages linked game. The Blue Joy Ring will double the effect of small hearts that we find, and if you're really low on health and you go into Impa's house, you can just talk to the princess and she will restore all of your health. Nice! And with that, we'll return to our non-linked game where we've just entered the Poison Moth's lair. If we head left over here from the entrance, we'll be able to use our mystery seeds on this owl statue to get a clue about how to defeat the enemies in the first room. We'll need to use our shield to bump the enemies, and then we can strike them with our sword. Of course, we would already know that if we'd played Link's Awakening. You can also use the shovel if you don't have a shield, so if you never picked one up, you can still get through this room. Don't worry about the enemies here, we just need to walk around to the right. You can pick up these clay pots to possibly find some items, but we're doing alright at the moment, so we don't really need too much. In this room there are more of those spiked beetles. We know we need to use the shield to knock them over, and we're just gonna head across to the right. We need the Rock's Feather to jump onto that moving platform, and we don't have it yet, so just head over to the right. There's a very simple pot pushing puzzle in this room, but these wall masters make it a bit more complicated. You'll want to make sure to get rid of all of them before attempting it. Keep fighting those blue demonic hands until they stop spawning, and then head down here where we'll need to pick up this pot so that we can push this one onto the button. Make sure it doesn't get too close to those purple blocks. You won't be able to pull the pot, and if you pick it up it won't work, so you just have to push it. These enemies are called arm mimics, and they copy your movements. You want to try to group them together, and then hit them with a fully charged spin slash. That will make them easy to finish off. Touching this button triggers a trap that makes the bridge collapse, so we won't be able to get across just yet. Instead, head down here and use the power bracelet to push the rollers. Make sure to avoid the cracked floors as you're pushing the rollers, but once you grab the key out of this chest, we can crack the floor and use it to get back to the entrance to the room, because that's where we need to go anyways. If you want to save half a heart of health, you can go the long way, but that way seems easier to me. Return to the room where we fought the arm mimics and take the stairs up out of the basement. In this room, we can use our flute to instantly defeat the Pole's Voice enemies. Nice! Pole's Voice hates loud noise, and it seems that our flute qualifies. In this room, if we clear out the enemies, we'll find a chest that contains bombs. This is just the game trying to give us a clue. There's a place that we can bomb in this room, and another clue is the strange tiles around it. So drop a bomb right here and head on up into this room where we'll find the map. Whenever we take a look at the map, we'll be able to see that there are 2 floors here, and we're going to be bouncing between them. But that's not the only place we need to go up here. So head back down into this room and push the blocks on the left to head over here. We need to move some statues into place here, and so I like to start with the ones that are already matching the statues above. So those 4, and then we need to push this one over, this one to the right, and this one down, and then we can just slide this one over to the left and down, and that will do it. The door is open. We need to go left through this room, but there are a lot of P-hat enemies here, and you can only damage them when they stop moving. Use your Boomerang to freeze them in place whenever they stop, and that will make it easier to clear them out of the way. We need to go 1 more screen to the left, so we'll just slash our way through this enemy, and then we're going to use our Boomerang on this anti-fairy. That'll get him out of the way. And whenever you see a pit that has that pattern in it, that means you can drop down below. Down here we can find 30 rupees, which is definitely better than nothing. And then if we head over here, you'll see that we're on the other side of a room that we had visited earlier. We need to go back up the stairs, move that hard hat beetle out of the way, and go through this locked door at the top. There are a bunch of traps in here. Go down into the lower right corner and try to group the arm mimics together. Then go to the center of the room where you should be able to easily defeat them. And once they're all gone, we'll find a chest containing the Rock's Feather. The Rock's Feather is one of my favorite items. It just feels good to use, and it will allow Link to jump over gaps that are 1 space wide. And the first thing we need to do with it is drop down here so that we can enter this hidden passage. Use the Rock's Feather to jump across and stay on the upper part of this room. There's spikes at the bottom. Jump to this lower platform and then jump across to the ladder, and then climb up and jump to this ladder, which will bring us over to the right side. In this room, we'll encounter a trampoline. Whenever we use a mystery seed on this owl statue, he explains that jumping onto it will send us up to a higher floor, and if we use our feather to jump onto the trampoline and then hold down, we'll be able to get the compass from this chest. But to get where we need to go, we need to actually move the trampoline, so drop back down here and just push the trampoline over onto that other pinkish colored space. That's where we need to put it, and then hop up onto it with your Rock's Feather. That will bring us up to this side of the room, and from here we need to head over to the right, where we'll need to use both the Rock's Feather and the Power Bracelet to move the rollers and jump over the spikes. We just need to get over to the right side, so push, push, jump, jump over here, push this roller all the way across, wait here for it to roll back, and then go across to the right. Now we heard the tone that suggests there's a key, so what we need to do is push this trampoline onto the orange tile on the right side. To do that, push it across to the left, then down, and then push it all the way over here until we get to the right wall. Then we'll push it up a couple spaces and over 1 more. Now jump on up. That brings us to the final small key that we're going to get in this dungeon. We still need the boss key, but we won't need any more of these small ones. Once you have it, drop back down and take the stairs on the right, which are labeled E on the map. We'll need the Rock's Feather to get across here. Wait until the platforms get close to the top of their arc, and then jump across to the left. Over here, jump onto the thwomp and then jump off as it rises up, and just drop off of this one on the left and climb the ladder. that will bring us back to this room, which we've definitely seen before. From here, we need to go back through this room with the clay pot puzzle, but make sure to get rid of all the wall masters first. You don't want to be dragged back to the dungeon entrance. That would be quite obnoxious. Once they're all gone, we'll head down here, and once again, we're going to just lift up this pot at the top, and we will push the other one into position. Do you remember the room that had that bridge trap where we walked on a button and then the bridge started to collapse? That's where we need to go next. All we need to do is use our Rock's Feather to hop over the button, and it won't trigger the trap. So take that, enemy dungeon engineers. We've thwarted your best plans again. This owl will give us a hint about how to defeat the mini-boss that we're about to face. But before we go through to the left, if we head up here, we'll find a chest that contains a gacha seed. With another large blue seed in our pocket, we'll head back to the room with the collapsing floor. We just want to drop down onto it and head across to the left. If we need some health, we can pick up these clay pots for some small hearts. Because on the other side of that door, we're about to face calamari. The calamari are actually 3 creatures that pop up in the water and spit fireballs at you. And you can't damage them while they're in the water, so you need to grab them with the power bracelet and throw them towards the corner of the room. Don't throw them towards the water or they'll just go right back in. It's difficult to hit them while they're flopping around. You need to time your sword swings so that you connect just as they hit the ground. The easiest times to score hits are right after you toss the boss and whenever they stand up to run towards the water. You'll need to defeat 3 of these calamari to win the fight. Once you've exterminated those killer crustaceans, a stairway will appear in the lower right corner. Take it up to the top floor. We're in the bottom of this room now, and we need to find the boss key. To get it, stay up on the top ledge and work your way all the way to the left. So keep going all the way across to the left, and hop across here. We need to drop into this pit. The boss key is located below. Down here, we need to push some of these purple blocks. We can push this one to get out of the way of the trap, but the one we need to actually push is that one, so that we can jump across to the chest. Inside is the boss key. Now we'll just drop down on the right, and that brings us back to the entrance. Down here, we'll find a portal that'll warp us back to the mini-boss room, and then we can take stairway F back upstairs. From here, it's very easy to get to the boss. Just head over to the left, and in this room, go up onto the ledge and jump across. Once you're across, work your way back to the right, and that's where we'll find it. The door to the boss. Once we head on through, it'll be time to take on Mothula. If you fall into this pit during the battle, you'll need to jump onto this trampoline, and you'll have to start the fight over, so try to avoid that happening. At the beginning of the fight, Mothula will appear in the middle, and you'll want to get up there and attack it quickly. Then try to figure out which direction Mothula is flying. If it's going clockwise, you want to go to the upper right corner, and if it's going counterclockwise, go up here to the upper left corner. So it's going clockwise now, we'll go to the upper right corner, and we're just going to hit it when it goes by and jump over any fireballs that it throws. This is the safest way to fight Mothula. We shouldn't take much damage by doing this, and we'll stay far away from those pits so we won't fall down below. If you feel like you have the battle safely in hand, you can risk attacking Mothula in the center, but I don't recommend doing that unless you are very confident. Once Mothula is defeated, grab the heart container and head down the stairs. where we'll find our next essence of nature, the bright sun. Young shoots grow quickly under the warm rays of the bright sun. Outside, we get another telepathic message from the Maku tree. He's had another one of his crazy dreams, and this time he saw a waterfall near the Sunken city. I love how this guy acts like we know where these places are. Yeah, you know, just go to the waterfall by the Sunken city, you can't miss it. Thanks. I guess we'll figure it out from here. We want to change the season to summer because there's some vines that we would like to climb to get a few bonuses. The first is a hidden ring, and we'll find it on the screen just below the tree that bears the Pegasus seeds. So head over here and you'll see those vines and also a couple signs. At the top, we'll read this sign which says, UCBBG, you're my best customer. Take this special gift. Oh, that was nice of Vasu. He buried a ring out here for some reason, just for us. Now, I don't know why no one else would have been able to find that. Maybe he knows that we have the power to change the seasons? I have no idea. In any case, we're going to head down here, and the default season in this region is spring. But we don't want it to be spring, we want it to be summer, so we'll hop on top of this stump and bring on the heat. We don't really need Ricky anymore, he's just going to be slowing us down, and over here we've encountered Maple, which would not have happened if we were riding our animal companion. Remember, you want to bump into Maple as often as you can. Eventually she should drop a piece of a heart container for us, and if we don't ever get that, we're going to have to farm Maple encounters later in the game, which is not super fun, so try to bump into Maple whenever you can. Up here and over on the right, we'll find a Gosha spot if we dig between these bushes. It doesn't matter what season it is when you do this. We didn't get this one before because we didn't have any Gosha seeds in our inventory to plant, but we got some now, so we'll definitely drop off a Gosha seed, and then we'll head up this way. We can use the Pegasus seeds to quickly get through this area, although it's not necessary. And if we head over here and down, we'll find another spot where we can climb some vines, and at the top, we can burn one of these small trees to meet a money man. This is one of the good money men, as represented by a yellow star on the map, and he says, "Shh, don't tell," and gives us a bunch of cash. Why shouldn't we tell? Is it a big secret because the money was earned through some sort of crime? Well, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll take that money and make our way back the way that we came. We're going to hop over that small pit and go up into this tube. So just go through that log and it will bring us to the Natzu Prairie. We'll want to use that switch to make the bridge appear. In this cave we found a fairy fountain, but if you have a different permanent animal companion, this area will look completely different. There are no seasons in the Natzu Prairie, but the region is completely dependent on which animal companion you have. Because we have Ricky, we will summon him here by using the Ricky flute, and then we'll ride back onto the Natzu Prairie, where we'll be able to take full advantage of Ricky's abilities. We need him here. There's a bunch of ledges that we'll want to jump over, and there are definitely some spots where it's nice to have a boxing kangaroo to get through. In just a moment, I will show what this region looks like if you're using one of the other two animal companions, so if you're rolling with Moosh or Dimitri, just hang tight, and we'll get to them soon. In each iteration of the Natzu Prairie, there's a cave that contains a Deku scrub, and that's what that cave is down on the right. We'll need to loop around to get down there. So we'll head up here, we'll punch through some bushes, and we'll head down. And that Deku scrub in the cave loves seeds so much that he will completely refill our seed satchel for free, which is pretty nice. Love the seed? I gotta tell you, my dude, I think you got a hit there. Could be a classic. As long as you agree with this guy, he'll fill up your seed satchel, and then we can be on our way. Love the seed. Alright, buddy. Over here in the lower right corner, we'll find the entrance to the Moblin's Keep, but we won't be able to get in without flippers. It doesn't look like a very far swim, but Link insists on flippers, what can I say? The way we actually need to go is up here at the top and over to the right. And we'll just hop our way along, and whenever we go down and to the right one more screen, we'll reach the Sunken City, but first we'll be threatened by the Great Moblin, but we're just gonna leave him behind for now. The Sunken City apparently has an offensive smell, so Ricky leaves us behind at this point, but let's take a look at the Natzu Prairie using Moosh. You'll notice right away that this region looks totally different now, as this area has been designed to take advantage of Moosh's abilities. In every iteration of the Natzu Prairie, you'll find a fairy fountain, so feel free to fill up your hearts, and then we'll continue on our journey. We want to head back the way that we came after finding the fairy fountain, so if you had a good amount of health, you don't have to come up here. Of the three Natzu Prairies, I would say that Moosh's is the most maze-like. There are some awkwardly placed bushes that make it so you can't go back sometimes when you go in a certain direction, but if you just follow this guide, you should have no problem. We're going to hover over the pits. Remember, you need to do that by rapidly tapping the A button, and up here we'll find the stairway that leads to our good old seed-loving Deku Scrub. After grabbing your refill, we can head on back outside, and we're going to be working our way to the upper right corner of this map. So we'll use a ground pound to get rid of this bush, although you could just cut it with your sword if you dismount from Moosh. And we're going to head up and to the right. Remember, Moosh doesn't like water, so stay out of the water with him. We'll need the flippers to get up into that other area. And here we've reached the edge of the Moblin's Keep. We're not going to pay any tolls. We'll just head over here into the Sunken City, where Moosh will also abandon us. He does not like this place. Dimitri, on the other hand, loves water, and you'll see that his version of the Natzu Prairie is completely flooded. It's also the easiest one to navigate with wide open spaces for us to swim through. So we'll check it out as we head over this way, and in the bottom part, we'll find a little stairway that's going to lead us to the fairy fountain. There are some currents to deal with here, but it's not that big of a deal with Dimitri. We'll hop off and go down inside to refill our health, although we haven't taken very much damage this time. And down in this same general area, we're going to find a waterfall that Dimitri can climb, and that's going to lead us to our seed-loving Deku Scrub friend. There's the waterfall right there, so just ride it up to the top and go inside the cave, and we'll be able to get that seed satchel refill. If you ever run dangerously low on seeds, don't forget that this guy exists. He'd be happy to fill up your satchel at pretty much any time. Head over this way, and down here we can try to get into the Moblin's Keep, but even with Dimitri, who can swim, you can't go across that bridge, so we just can't get in until we have the flippers. There's a number of things you can do early with Dimitri because you don't need the flippers, including if we go up here and to the left, we'll find a stairway that leads to some rupees. So we'll just hop off and go inside, and there's a few moving platforms in here, but they're pretty easy to navigate. And on the other side, we'll open the chest and grab $50. How lucky. If you have one of the other two animal companions, you'll still be able to reach that stairway later, but you'll need to come back whenever you have the flippers. For now, we're just going to swim over here, and this is going to take us to the upper right corner of the Moblin's Keep. To get over to the other side, we'll need to toss Dimitri using the power bracelet, but that's easy enough to do. And whenever we go into the Sunken City with Dimitri, he won't immediately abandon us, and you'll be able to just continue onwards. Now I'm going to cut back to our main game where Ricky is our animal companion so that you can see what to do if you don't have Dimitri here. And these strategies will also work if Moosh is your companion, so everything will play out the same way. This man's father is a master diver, and he has a secret diving spot in town, but he never revealed where it was to his own child. And it appears he never told his wife either, and he hid his diving gear somewhere from her. Wow, what is going on in that family? This strange man tells us that there's a legend about a treasure on a summit. The summit of what, guy? Give us some more information. Well, he doesn't seem to have any, so we're going to head over here to the right, and if we work our way around, we'll find this mysterious building where nobody lives at the moment, but eventually someone will. Over here, we'll find a new type of seed, the Gale Seeds. Finally! Whenever you use a Gale Seed with your seed satchel, you'll be able to instantly teleport to any of the other seed-bearing trees that you've seen in the game. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. After finding the fifth and final type of seeds, if we head back here, we'll find some kids antagonizing Dimitri. They say that they're protecting the city, and then this child asks if we have any bombs. What? If we agree to give him the bombs, which I don't think was very responsible, we didn't even ask him what the bombs were for, then these future terrorists will leave Dimitri alone, and he'll allow us to ride him so that we can swim around town. With Dimitri's help, we'll be able to find the flippers so that we can swim without him. Over here near the center of town, we'll notice a stump that we'll be able to use later to change the seasons, but for now we're going to ride up the waterfall, and then we'll ride up this taller waterfall on the left, and once we're in this cave we can dismount from Dimitri, and we want to push these statues in such a way so that we'll be able to hit all four of them with a single spin slash. So get in the middle, charge up your sword and swing it, and if you hit all four, a bridge will appear leading us to the Master's Plaque. Now you may be wondering, how did he know that's what we were supposed to do? Well, if we go into the next waterfall on the right, the answer will be revealed. That was some sort of test devised by the Master Diver, and if we talk to him here, he will explain it. Of course, we've already passed his test, so he'll notice that we have the Master's Plaque immediately after describing what we're supposed to do. We already have the proof, Master Diver. I'm not sure exactly what that test proves, but if that's all we needed to do to get the Zora flippers, hey, we'll take it. Not only does he give us the flippers, but he also tells us about his secret diving location that leads to Mount Cucco. The same secret diving spot that he wouldn't reveal to his own son. So he would tell us, a perfect stranger, but he won't reveal the secret to his own child? What did that kid do to you? In any case, receiving the flippers opens up a bunch of new places for us to explore, like this cave where we can find a Gasha seed. Before, if we had fallen into the water, we would have sunk like a stone, but now we can swim for miles, and we can even do extensive diving without a breathing apparatus. Who knew that scuba diving was so simple? This poor woman is stuck in her house because of the floods, and she explains that the problem seems to be snow melt up in the mountains due to the chaotic seasons. Yeah, this is really not a good situation. There is a place in town where the water is draining out, but it must be coming in at a much faster rate. If we head down here, we'll see a conspicuous bit of water, and if we dive under, we'll emerge in this cave where we can find a Gasha seed. The only way out of the cave after we get the Gasha seed is down here, and that leads us to the Woods of Winter. We don't have much business to do here in the Woods of Winter, so let's try out one of those Gale seeds that we just got. We could go back to the Sunken City, but for now, we're going to return to the Spool Swamp. The first thing that we're going to do here in the Spool Swamp is grab the Square Jewel, which is something that we could have done before, but we didn't do it yet, and it is on the way to our next destination, so we might as well grab it now. To get the Square Jewel, we'll want to come over here to this stump and change the season to winter. So make sure that you change the season to winter, otherwise there will be a tree in your way. And that will also get rid of a lot of the enemies in this area, making it easier to traverse. You're going to want your animal companion in this area, so summon him with the flute. It doesn't matter which animal companion you have, although you will have to go a slightly different way depending on which one it is. With Ricky, we're just going to head up here and down the left side. We'll get rid of these bushes with a charged attack and then hop down here to the corner where there's a Gasha nut for us to harvest. And let's see what we got this time. Another ring. Very good. Rings are what we want to get from most Gasha nuts. Over here, we'll just hop through the snow and over that pit. And we can just go right through the snow with Ricky. And then we can punch open this wall, although with some of the other animal companions, you may need to use a bomb there. Inside, we'll grab the Square Jewel. Be aware that if you're playing a linked game, the jewels are not in the same location as they would be in a non-linked game. I will show you the location of all 4 jewels in a linked game later in this series. For now, we're going to return to Subrosia through the Spool Swamp portal, because now that we have the Rock's Feather, there are new areas for us to explore down here, although we will need Rosa's help to unlock a few doors. So, hey girl, you want to go on another date where we wander around and you open up doors for us? You do? Wow, Rosa must really like Link to agree to something like this. Also, while we're down here, if we go into the market, we'll see that they have a new item for sale. It's the members card for the store in Horon Village. Now, I have no idea how this guy got the members card, but it only costs 5 ore chunks, so we'll definitely pick it up. Now, the door to this passage was already unlocked, so we didn't need Rosa's help there. But we're going to just head up and then we're going to start going across to the left. If we head up this way, we'll avoid that active volcano, and then we can jump over the lava and go up into this corner. This is a new area that we haven't been to yet, and over here we'll see a big bridge, and if we head down this way, there's one of those locked doors that we needed Rosa's help with. Inside, surrounded by a large pool of lava, is a Gasha seed. I'm not sure why it was hidden with such a high level of security, but we're happy to have it. If we head into this small house, we'll meet a Subrosian chef who would love to make us some lava soup, but he doesn't have a pot? I don't know what kind of chef doesn't have a pot, but I guess we'll go with it. So if we trade him the iron pot that we got earlier, he'll give us back some delicious lava soup. It definitely doesn't sound like something that would be safe to eat, but maybe we'll find someone else who's interested. There's one more thing for us to grab while we're up here. If we hop across this lava pool and enter the cave, we'll find another Gosha seed. This one's not hidden behind a locked door, it's just out in the open. And now you can see that this area connects back to some of the other parts of Subrosia that we've seen before. So if we go across this large bridge and then down this way, we can cut across to the right where we'll be able to use our Rock's Feather again to go over this gap. And that's the Subrosian hot springs, which are right near the dance hall. And if we head up here, well, that's the portal that we used the first time we came into Subrosia. And for some reason, if we enter this strange cave, Rosa immediately leaves. I'm not sure why she doesn't like that cave so much, but for now, we'll go back through this portal, which leads to Eyeglass Lake on the left side of the Woods of Winter. We don't have anything we need to do here right now, so we'll use another Gale Seed to warp back to Horon Village. We've found a few more rings since the last time we were at the jewelry store, so we can have Vasu appraise them. And we know this first one is the GBA Nature Ring, which doesn't actually do anything. It's just a trophy that shows we've played this game on a Game Boy Advance. But that one, the Rocks Ring, that one actually is kind of useful. It will make the floors stop from cracking underneath our feet, so that might be one that we'll want to equip later on. For now, we'll stay with the ring that we currently have equipped, but the Rocks Ring is definitely a legitimate option. If we go inside the Maku tree after completing level 3, we can go up the stairs and outside we'll find another Gosha seed. It seems like we found a lot of Gosha seeds lately. When it rains, it pours with those things. Once you have that Gosha seed, you can head back outside. And it's been a moment since we've checked in with Bippin and Blossom, so we can visit those two before we leave town. The last time we saw the couple, baby Kylo was terribly ill, and Blossom asked us for some money for healthcare. We gave her one shiny rupee, so let's see if that was enough. Well, Bippin says that the boy is well, so it seems like everything turned out great. Over here on the left, Kylo is still in bed, but Blossom is in much better spirits. She thanks us profusely, and it feels kinda weird considering we only gave them one rupee, but sometimes I guess that's all it takes. Here in the shop, the owner tries to stop us from going into the back room, only to see that we actually have a membership card. I guess he's not keeping very good track of who he gives those out to. Down here, we'll find a hidden store where we can purchase a seed satchel upgrade. That's the most important thing to get right now, but if you're interested, you may want to pick up this treasure map, which will mark certain areas on the map where we can find those jewels. I am going to show you the location of all the jewels, and you do not need the map to be able to retrieve them, but if you like getting all of the items, now's your chance to pick up the treasure map. And if we head up into the North Horon area, we can use the power of summer and our Rock's Feather to reveal another hidden item. So we'll head over here to the right. We want to leave the season on winter for now, so jump over this pit, and we're going to walk on the ice over to the right. So that's why we needed it to be winter. And we'll head up this way where we'll find another stump, and this is the one where we'll change it to summer, which is the next season in line since we already were on winter. Now we'll head down here, and you'll notice that this little pond has dried up. And if we walk up to this screen, we can lift up this stone, and underneath it we'll find a hidden stairway. There's some water in here, but no swimming is required, so you can get this upgrade before you get the flippers. But carefully walk past those spear shooters to find a piece of heart. At this point in the game, we still need 3 more pieces of heart to get another heart container, but you gotta start somewhere. As you can see, it is nice to have the flippers just in case you get bumped into the water by an enemy, but once you're done in here, we can head outside where we will use another Gale Seed, and this time we're going to go back to the Sunken City where we kind of started all of this. Back here in the Sunken City, if we head down to the lower left corner, we can run into those kids that we gave bombs to earlier, and hopefully they still have all of their fingers. They seem to be mostly intact. They say that Dimitri got scared and ran off, and this kid said they were going to let him join the safety patrol, but I just don't think he would have been terribly interested. With the flippers, we can get into the Moblin's Keep, so we're just going to work our way around here to the left, and then we'll need to head down through the Natzu Prairie. This area may be a bit different depending on which animal companion you have, but the exit to the Moblin's Keep is generally going to be down in the lower right. From here, we'll just swim over to these stairs, and we'll climb up, and if we walk around here, we can fill out a little bit more of the map, but this is what we were looking for, the Moblin's Keep. You can take either door to get inside, and then we're going to head up these stairs. It's time to fight a boss. The Great Moblin is much easier to beat in this game than he is in Oracle of Ages. There's no smaller Moblins on the side throwing bombs at you. So just pick up the bombs that the Great Moblin throws at you and throw them back. You may want to wait for a moment until they start flashing, but generally this guy doesn't pick them up and throw them back at you. And you won't be able to win the fight unless you hit him with a bomb while he's holding another one. So you just want to keep throwing the bombs in his general direction and eventually you'll get it to work. Because if he's holding another bomb, he'll drop it on all of the ammunition in the background and the whole keep will be destroyed. This is not the last that we'll see of the Great Moblin, and underneath where the keep used to stand, we'll find a chest containing a piece of heart. 2 more to go to get another heart container. And that's all that we're going to get for destroying the Moblin's Keep. This is a completely optional side quest, and you can totally beat the game without ever doing it. Back here in the upper left corner of the Sunken City, we'll meet a man named Ingo, and he collects vases. He really wants the one that Big Goron has, and apparently he would give us an entire fish for it, so I guess we'll have to come back here later if we can ever make that deal. If we dive down under the reef near Ingo's house, we'll find the hidden diving spot that the master diver was talking about. If you equip your sword to the B button, you'll be able to use it against the fish that you see in here, and we'll just swim over to the left, because when we emerge, we will be on Mount Cucco. This is where we'll find the next dungeon, but there's a few things we'll need to take care of first. After walking past a seasonal stump, we'll find Moosh down here in the lower right corner of the map. He really wants a banana, but they only appear during the spring, and it's currently summer. It sounds like we're going to need another Rod of Seasons power. To get it, we'll have to return to Subrosia, but where would the nearest portal be? Oh, it's right there. If you change the season to winter before we go through that portal to Subrosia, we can drop down on the left side and enter this cave to find a fairy fountain. You'll only be able to enter the fairy fountain during the winter because there's a snowdrift there that lifts you up to the right height. Now we'll head back up these long stairs and we can drop down on the right side, which will take us directly to Subrosia. Of course, this portal takes us to a different part of Subrosia than we've been to before, and as soon as we jump across the lava, a red and a blue Subrosian bump into us, and they steal our Rock's feather. Well, I guess they don't exactly steal it. They trade it for full Zora, but that is not a good deal, and we definitely did not consent to that trade. In order to get our feather back, we'll need to ask around and figure out where those two Subrosians went to. This guy seems to have spotted them with our feather, and he also has a Gosha seed in his house that we can't reach right now because we don't have our feather. Whenever we get it back, we'll have to return there. It seems that the two weirdos, which I guess are the guys that stole our feather, live over on the west side of town, and that's their house right there. This guy confirms it. To get our feather back, we'll have to play the stealth game again, sort of like when we were following Rosa earlier in the game. I guess that this is technically a mandatory minigame, but it's not a terribly offensive one. Use the trees and the rocks in this area as cover, so the two Subrosians never directly look at you. You want to stay out of their line of sight. Because they're constantly bouncing around though, they have a bit wider range than you might think, but as long as you only walk by them on the other side of trees or when their back is turned, you should be fine. Make sure they've completely walked off the screen before you head down, and we're going to stay on the right side here. So we'll stay near the rocks on this side, and we'll need to move around to avoid the blue Subrosian, and we'll wait until he's completely gone to head over here to the left. If you are seen by one of these guys, you will have to start the minigame over again, but we'll just wait here on this one and that guy will hop right past. This is one of the trickier areas to get through, so we'll just keep rotating around this tree, and we can stay down here at the bottom for safety, and we'll just wait for those guys to go up here to the top. And now we just want to cross up to the top of the screen where we can hide behind this tree in the middle. Once we follow these two back down to the next screen below, we'll see that they hid our feather in the most obvious possible location. A very conspicuous space with a red outline around it. Use your shovel to dig up the feather, and whenever you get it, the Fool's Ore will disappear from our inventory. It was sort of a placeholder for our missing feather. After playing the game, if you leave the house and re-enter, you'll be able to play again. You can win different items when you do this, like ore chunks, and you can even win a ring. If you find a ring here, you will find a different ring at the Subrosian dance hall, and the two possible rings that you can find are the green luck ring and the green holy ring, neither of which is very good. I'm not saying those rings are useless, I'm just saying that they're not great, and you will be able to find the green holy ring in Gosha nuts, but the green luck ring can only be found in this game by playing these minigames. You can find it in a different location in Oracle of Ages. While we're in the area, make sure to use the portal on the roof of the pirate house so that we can open up this route back to Horon Village. Once you flip that lever, the bridge will remain in place. Now that we've done that, we can get down to business. We need to get back to the temple so that we can find the Spirit of Spring. If we head over here to the right, we'll see the portal that we came in through, and then over here we can jump over to some stairs. That will take you down into this side-scrolling area where we'll need to use our feather again. And at the end of this room, if you drop down on the right side, you'll find a hidden Gosha seed. So just go down that purplish ladder and then climb back up here, and we'll emerge in the temple. Hop across the lava and take the stairs up to the top. where we'll find the Spirit of Spring. The primary purpose of the spring power is to make flowers appear. It does a few other things, but some of these flowers can launch you up into the air, and you'll need to use them to get to different locations. With the power of spring in our possession, there's only one more season that we don't have. Now, it is possible to get the 4th season at this point in the game, but we don't need it right now, so we're going to wait to pick it up until after finishing level 4. Now we're just going to hop back through that side-scrolling passage, wait for the platforms to be moving towards you before you jump onto them, and over here if we head to the right, we can pick up these rocks, and these rocks will stay removed after we leave the screen, so we'll be able to use that passage later. It's always good to open up more ways through Subrosia. And now we're going to go back through the portal to return to Mount Cucco. With the power of spring at our disposal, we can finally help out Moosh, so we'll stand up on this stump and we'll keep waving our wand until we get the green spring logo to appear in the upper left. Now we'll just cut through these flowers and we'll be able to get to this area where there's a flying rooster. Using your power bracelet, you'll be able to pick him up, and then you just want to keep rapidly tapping the button so that you can float up to the upper ledge. You want to get to the high ledge at the top. Once you get up there, release from the rooster, and we'll need to use our feather to get through this room, but watch out for those bats, which we know are called Keese in the Zelda universe. You don't want them to knock you into a pit. Go up these stairs, and at the top, swing your sword to get the spring banana. Now, before we go down to where Moosh is, we can go into this cave, where you'll want to wait until the platform comes back your way, quickly walk onto it, and you want to jump a little bit early here so that you can touch that button, and then we need to get back onto the platform, so quick walk off to the left, and then we can grab the ring. This is the green joy ring. When equipped, the green joy ring will double the amount of ore chunks that you find, and that is the only place in either game where you can obtain that ring. Now that we have the spring banana, Moosh will let us ride, and even if Moosh is your permanent animal companion, you still need to get the bananas for him at this point in the game. If you hold down the A button, you'll be able to charge up a ground pound attack, but the thing that we'll be using Moosh the most for is hovering over pits. Over here, we'll see a Deku scrub hiding under a bush, and there's a sign here, so let's see what that says. No deflecting seeds allowed. Well, if you wait down here and turn your back on that Deku scrub, he'll spit some seeds at you, and you can use your shield to reflect them back. He has a clue for us about a keyhole up on the summit. Very interesting. This Deku scrub over here tells a similar tale. If we take Moosh to this room, we'll be able to rapidly tap A to get over these pits. So we'll float over these ones, and up here we'll be able to get the Dragon Key. We'll need that to unlock the next dungeon. Now, we've crossed into an area known as Goron Mountain, and Goron Mountain only has one season. It's always winter here. We can continue using Moosh for now, although if he's not your permanent animal companion, he'll eventually leave you. We're going to go over to the left side where we can pick up these rocks, and then if we use our Ember Seeds, we'll be able to meet a money man under the center tree. So burn this tree and go down the stairs, and this is definitely one of the guys that you want to talk to, because this man will give us 300 rupees. Nice! You certainly don't want to miss out on that jackpot, but be aware that you can only hold 999 rupees at once, so if you already have too many, you want to make sure you spend a few first before picking up that cash. Down these stairs we'll find an exit from the caves that leads to the lower part of the mountain, and we've encountered Maple once again. We want to make sure that we bump into her over here on the left side so that the items don't end up on the upper ledge. We won't be able to grab them up here. And it looks like we lost 2 rupees, but if we're fast, we should definitely make up for that. Oh yeah, we got a very good deal this time. Over on the right, we'll be able to go back into Mount Cucco, but only just so far as where these rocks are, and if we pick up this one in the middle, we'll be able to plant a Gasha seed. And if you like planting Gasha seeds, we can head back over to the left of that tunnel exit, where we can use our shovel to dig up a hidden Gasha spot. So make sure you plant one here. And then we'll go back into the Goron Mountain. The Gorons that live here in the cave are friendly, so we can chat with them if we want to learn a little bit about what's going on in this area. But the one that we really need to talk to is Big Goron, who lives on the mountain summit. He's too big to fit inside of the caves, because he's like 1,000 times bigger than these other Gorons. This guy is definitely an outlier. Big Goron seems to have a cold, but he's in luck because we've got the cure. We'll need to use our feather to hop over the lava, and when we emerge from this cave and go up these stairs, we'll come face to face with Big Goron himself. He is not feeling well. The lava soup that we got down in Subrosia is the perfect thing for this guy, and after consuming it, he is instantly cured. As a symbol of his gratitude, he gives us the Goron vase. It's a very nice vase. We know exactly what to do with this vase, but before we head back to the Sunken City, let's take a quick detour back to the Spool Swamp, where we can pick up a very interesting ring that will allow us to transform into an Octorok. So we're just going to go down here, we'll head straight down, and we're going to go past Mrs. Rule's villa, so we'll walk right by that, and we're going to head towards the shortcut to Spool Swamp. But we don't need to go all the way into Spool Swamp to get the Octorok ring. We're just going to swim over here to the left and enter this cave in the water. We can dive under those enemies, and inside the chest is the Octorok ring. This will allow us to turn into an Octorok, which is not as exciting as you may think. There's not a whole lot that we can do as an Octorok, but it is cool to have. It's a ring that you can also find in Gasha nuts. While we're here, we can head up to the top and use the power of spring on this stump, and we'll finally be able to get that piece of heart that's down in the water. Stand on top of this stump and change the season until we get spring. There it is. And we're going to head back down below. We won't need our kangaroo friend this time. We have the flippers, we can just swim around. And we're going to go down and to the right. So work your way over here to this area where there's a moving current, and then head over to the left. And there it is. We now have 3 pieces of heart and just need 1 more to get another heart container. You can't use a gale seed while you're swimming, so stand on this lily pad as we warp back to the Sunken City. Once we get here, we're going to visit our good friend the Vase Collector, and he lives up and to the left. So we'll just work our way over to the left. We don't need to change the season to make this work. And there's his house. So we'll go on inside, and this guy would probably trade anything for Big Goron's vase, but for some reason we accept a fish as payment. I mean, I feel like we could have done a little bit better. This guy already had a spot picked out for it, but, well, I guess we needed this fish to complete the next part of the item trading quest. And once we're done here, we can head back to Mount Cucco. So we're just going to go to the reef and dive. Unfortunately, there's no way to warp back to Mount Cucco. There's no tree there that we can use. We're not able to warp to the spring banana tree, so we just have to swim through this passage anytime we want to get over there, at least for now. Back up on the mountain, we're going to climb up these vines and head over to the left to the Goron mountain, where we'll be able to get the ring box upgrade. It'll take a little bit of doing, but it's something that should be easy enough. We'll have to use our shovel to get through this snow because we don't have Moosh with us anymore, and we'll need to use a bomb to open up this cave. So place a bomb in front of the cracked wall and go on inside. Work your way around and watch out for the green gels that pop up right there. And when you go up the stairs, we'll come out here, and this cave on the left side, this one's just a dead end, so don't worry about that one. What we need to do is head over to the right. So go over this way and go up the stairs and head back around to the left, where we'll be able to enter this cave. And in this one, watch out for enemies that are hiding in bushes, and go up these stairs, which will take us to the top of the mountain. There are some very dangerous Lionel enemies up here. I recommend that you hit them with your Boomerang to stun them, swipe at them with the sword a few times, and then re-stun them with the Boomerang before finishing them off with the sword. Be careful around those guys. Head across this bridge and drop down onto this ledge, where we'll find a cave, and inside there's a red Goron who is so happy to see us that he will make our ring box larger. We still will only be able to equip one ring at a time, but it's nice to have options. And if you're playing a linked game and already had your ring box expanded earlier, now you'll be able to hold 5 rings, which is the most that you can. We're done for now over here in the Goron mountainside, so we'll use our shovel to get through this snow, and there's a fairy this time, not bad. And whenever we head across to the right, the default season in this area is summer, but we need to change it to spring so that we can use the flowers that will boost us up to a higher ledge. So head over here to the stump and we'll jump up onto it, where we can use our Rod of Seasons, and a little 1 and a 2, and here is spring. And now we'll head back to the left. First, we're gonna get that piece of heart. So we'll head over here, and there's the flower we were looking for that can boost us up to the next level. We'll head up here, and inside of this cave, we'll see that there's a guy who's fallen asleep. This is Talon, who's related to Malin at the Cuckoo Hut. That's her dad. She hasn't seen him in a while, and we'll have to help him out whenever we can find a way to make him wake up. Over here you'll see there's another stump, but first we're going to drop down and we'll be able to grab this piece of heart, which completes the next heart container. Excellent. Now we just need to figure out how to open up the next dungeon. When we found the sleeping Talon, he mumbled something about winter. Well, if we head up to this stump over on the right and change the season to winter, a big snowdrift will appear, and we'll be able to use that to get up into another cave. So cross the ice over here to the left and you'll see that snowdrift that I was talking about. This one blocks the cave that Talon is inside, but that's okay, he'll be fine. So walk up into this cave, and we'll need to use our power bracelet and our Rock's Feather to get through this one. We'll hop across here, watch out for the enemies, and then we can pick up this rock to get it out of the way, and we'll head over to the left. There's a bunch of hidden enemies in this room, so you'll want to have the sword and the feather active, but just hop up to these stairs, and here we just need to work our way down to the next stairway. And you'll want to remember where this area is, because I'm going to show you a trick later in the video, and we're going to do the first part of it up here. For now though, we're just going to head over to the right, where we'll find a flying rooster, and if we pick this one up and rapidly tap the button, we'll be able to get over to this ledge where it will drop us off. And there's the keyhole we've been looking for. Whenever you touch it, you'll automatically use the dragon key and the waterfall will dry up, revealing level 4. To get inside, we'll need to change the season to summer, so stand on top of this stump, wave your rod of seasons, and once we're in summer, you'll be able to climb up the vines into the Dancing Dragon Dungeon. Now you know that before we jump into the dungeon, we have to do a few linked game secrets. And do you remember that guy who was standing in front of the windmill over to the right of town? Well, if you go up to that ledge after finishing level 3 in a linked game, you'll meet this kid who has a password for Dr. Troy in Rolling Ridge. So we'll want to write this one down, and then we'll need to load up our completed Oracle of Ages game and see if we can find the good doctor. We'll find the good doctor in the present version of Rolling Ridge at the Target card game, and there he is. After we give him the password that the kid gave us back in Oracle of Seasons, he won't immediately give us his reward. Instead, he wants to watch us win a round of Target cards. Feels kind of arbitrary, but that's what we'll have to do if we want to get his prize. And it's the bomb chews, so we probably do want to get those. Alright, I guess we'll play Target cards. So head over to the left and talk to the Goron on that side, and that's where we'll be able to start up a Target card game. We will still be eligible for the normal prizes in Target cards, but we will need to get a perfect score before we can get Dr. Troy's reward, and we want to make sure that we talk to him after completing the round of Target cards. It feels a little bit like a scam to make us spend all of our money on this game, and our prize here will just be more rupees, but here we go. Carefully shoot at the gems and try not to miss. If you miss a single time, there's a good chance that you will not be able to get a perfect score. You can't shoot 2 seeds at one time, so you have to be very accurate. And if you don't get a perfect score but you hit most of the gems, you'll at least get a monetary reward, but the prize here is 50 rupees. He says that that's lucky, but yeah, we're not playing Target cards again. What we actually came for is the bomb chews. Bomb chews are like a moving bomb that crawl across the ground and explode. So yeah, those are pretty handy. If you need to get more bomb chews, you can buy them from Syrup. And here we can use the secret that we got from Dr. Troy to unlock the bomb chews in Oracle of Seasons. The bomb chews are definitely optional. You won't really need them to finish the game or to fight the final boss, nothing like that. So if you want to skip them, you can, but they could come in handy in a handful of corner case situations, so I like having them available. Whenever you give the Oracle of Secrets your password, the bomb chews will appear in a chest in the center of the room. And after she tells us a little bit more about our secrets, we'll be able to open them up and we can put them on from our inventory and try them out. So here's what the bomb chews look like. It's like a cat or something that explodes. This next secret that we can do after finishing level 3 is definitely more important, but it will take a bit more effort to get. In a linked game, if you go into the Hero's Cave, you'll notice that it is very different and there are some challenging puzzles in here. We don't need to finish the entire Hero's Cave right now, but we do need to get far enough into it to get the next linked game secret. Here in this first room, there are 2 buttons that we need to place a clay pot on top of. It's very easy to cover one of them, but the second one not so much. You need to make sure to push that pot over to the right, do not pick that one up, and then we're going to come down here and push this pot in the middle on the lower button. Pick up that pot, and then we're going to push these blocks like so. And now we can push this pot down and to the right to solve the puzzle and open the door. The puzzle in this room is significantly easier to figure out. Use your power bracelet to push the rulers out of the way and to pick up these pots. So clear those pots, push this roller over to the right, and down at the bottom, we're going to push this one over the button, and then we'll push the lower one to the right, and we'll come back around to the left side to finish the puzzle, so that we'll be on the appropriate side of the pot when the door opens. In this room, we just need to push the pots onto each of the buttons. So push them like you see here. There's more than one way to solve that puzzle. And that will make a bridge appear. Down here we'll find a chest, and inside is a Gasha seed. But after we get the Gasha seed, you'll see that a portal opens up. That's not the way that we need to go. Instead, we need to use a Pegasus seed and our Rock's Feather to jump across to this orange portal, which will bring us here. You may have noticed a Zora standing up on top of a ledge whenever we teleported in. Well, that's who we need to talk to. We're going to hop across, and then we'll drop down here and climb up. And when we talk to this guy, he will give us a secret that we need to give to King Zora back in Oracle of Ages. So make sure to write this secret down, because this is the one that unlocks the Master Sword. So we definitely want this. There's more to the Hero's Cave, so we will be coming back here later, but for now you can just use this portal to get back to the entrance, and in Oracle of Ages, head to the upper right of the Zora village and chat with the king. He'll ask if we need him. We do. Once we give the king the password that we learned in the Hero's Cave, he will be able to sharpen our sword. And if you already had the level 2 sword, this one will turn into the level 3 sword, which is the legendary Master Sword. I'm not exactly sure how the King Zora is able to sharpen our sword. Does he do it with his beak somehow? But in any case, he also gives us a return secret so that we can get a sword upgrade back in Oracle of Seasons. Don't forget to take this one back to the Maku tree in Oracle of Seasons. If we don't have any sword upgrades yet, it will take our sword from the wooden sword up to the level 2 sword, and then later on in the game, whenever we find another sword upgrade, we'll be able to get the Master Sword here. And we are definitely going to want the Master Sword. That will make the final boss much easier. Right now, we only get the Noble Sword, but any kind of sword upgrade is a good upgrade, so we definitely don't want to miss out on this. But that's not the only secret that we can do right now. After completing the Great Moblin's Keep, if you return to the abandoned home down in the lower right corner of the Sunken City, we'll find that the Great Moblin has taken up refuge here. These Moblins seem to be up to no good, as they are producing an absurd number of bombs. What are they doing with those? Well, if we use a bomb of our own or an ember seed on the pile in the lower right and then quickly get out of the house, the whole thing will blow up and the Moblins will run away. The house will still be there when we walk through later, it'll just be patched up. But now if we return to the site of the Moblin's Keep, this friendly Moblin will appear, and he will have a secret for the Tokay museum owner back on Crescent Island. After we jot this down and load up our completed Oracle of Ages game, we can warp over to the present version of Crescent Island, and we'll find the Wild Tokay Museum here. This museum was a mini-game back in the past, and whenever we tell the secret to the museum owner, he'll be inspired to revive the games. If we can get a perfect score in this minigame, we will get a bomb upgrade, which will allow us to carry up to 99 bombs if we already had the other bomb upgrade in this game. Of course, we'll also get a return secret so that we can get a bomb upgrade back in Oracle of Seasons, and we already have the bomb upgrade there, so being able to carry 99 bombs would be quite nice. To win the game, use the power glove to pick up the meat, get close to the rails on the side, and toss the meat slightly in front of the Tokays as they march down. You may need to walk down a little bit to catch up with one. You cannot miss any of these Tokays, but accuracy is the most important part of this game. If you miss, you'll likely end up losing the game, so make sure that every meat you throw ends up in a Tokay's hands. Whenever you see the red one, that's the last guy, and if you did it perfectly, you'll receive the reward. We can now hold more bombs than before. Awesome. So we'll take that password back to Oracle of Seasons and carry it into the Maku tree. And we'll head back over to the Oracle of Secrets just as we always do. And with the secret that we got from the Wild Tokay Museum, we'll be able to hold 99 bombs this early in the game, which is quite nice. Now you may be thinking, there can't possibly be any more linked game secrets that are unlocked after finishing level 3 and getting the items in these areas, but that's not so. You'll need to do a bit of the item trading quest, and if you head up here and give the lava soup to Big Goron, whenever you go back into the mountains, we'll notice that there's a new red Goron hanging out in the caves. So we'll hand over the lava soup and he's going to give us the Goron base back. We'll take that. We'll need that so that we can eventually get the final item in the trading quest. But for right now, we want to talk to this guy who has a password for us that we can use back in Oracle of Ages. All this guy needs us to do is to take a password to his ancestor, the Goron Elder who died 4 centuries ago. Yeah, that'll be no problem. We just need to go to the Rolling Ridge of the Past, and we'll find the Goron Elder hanging out at the target game. He says, "I'm thinking up secrets for us Gorons. Do you know any?" Which is a super weird thing to say, but we do have a secret for this guy, and whenever we tell it to him, he's like, "Did you say circle SN equals B? That can only be a message from my ancestor 400 years in the future. No further questions, I just need you to play this target game using the Big Goron sword." If we can score at least 300 points in the target game, we'll be able to keep the Big Goron sword, but playing the game using this slower weapon is harder than you may think. We can still stand in the middle and hit the ball straight up into the center, so whenever you see a fairy statue there, you'll want to take advantage of that. But we'll need to be very deliberate with our sword swings. We can't just swing wildly. Wait for the ball. We'll also need to hit several of the fairy statues that are not in the middle if we're trying to make 300 points. If possible, try to hit all of the fairies unless they're very close to an imp statue, because you don't want to risk hitting an imp. If you can hit at least 3 fairies, you should be able to get the 300 points that you need, but make sure you don't lose points by not hitting the ball at all. If you hit the ball downward, you can avoid hitting any of the blocks. Sometimes the ball is pitched so quickly that it's difficult to hit at all. You may lose some points here and there, so be prepared to do something a little bit dangerous to get the last few that you need. That time we hit both the fairy and the imp, but we still made 50 points, and we got a positive score that time as well, so 340 is more than 300, and as promised, we were able to win Big Goron's sword. This weapon takes 2 hands to wield, and it's not as good as the Master Sword, but it is a lot of fun to use. You can just wreak so much havoc with this thing. We'll take it outside and use it on some bushes and enemies. Look at the range of the big Goron sword. It is pretty awesome, so I recommend at least trying to get it. And we'll use the return secret here so that we can use the big Goron sword back in Oracle of Seasons. And that will be a nice addition to our inventory. We may find a handful of situations where the big Goron sword is useful, but our standard sword will still be our go-to blade. After we tell the password to the Oracle of Secrets, big Goron sword will appear in a chest below. And with that, there are no more secrets that we're going to be doing before the Dancing Dragons dungeon, but there is one more linked game difference that I wanted to show. We'll try out that big Goron sword a little bit, and if you use the Rod of Seasons here in the Sunken City to change the season to winter, you'll be able to get up onto the ledge where Syrup's shop is, although you will need to get the mushroom from the item trading quest before Syrup will be able to sell you anything. But that's not what we came for. It's Queen Ambi. She was sent here by Nehru because Nehru is extremely powerful, and it seems that she actually likes the Sunken City and is considering sinking her own palace. Not a great idea, but let's get back to our unlinked game and the Dancing Dragon dungeon. We'll kick things off by heading straight up, and in this room you don't have to clear out the enemies. You can just push this block and you'll be able to open a chest that contains 10 bombs. So if you needed some bombs, that's a good thing to pick up, because we are going to be using them. Over here, ride past the switch and then hit it with your sword, and in this room we're going to use a bomb on the cracked spot in the wall. Behind the cracked wall, we'll find this dungeon's first puzzle. There are 9 clay pots here, but we'll need to pick up 2 of them so that we can push the others. Grab one from the outside and then grab the center pot, and then start pushing them towards the nearest button. You won't be able to cover all 8 buttons, but as long as you can cover 7 of them, we'll be able to have Link stand on the remaining button to complete the puzzle. So we're just going to keep pushing. We need to push this one over and up. Don't push it into a bad spot where you won't be able to move it anymore. You can't pick any of these clay pots up or you will break them and you won't be able to solve the puzzle. Once 7 are covered, stand on the other one and a small key will appear in the middle of the room. Grab it and head back to the left. Hop back into the minecart, and if you already switched the track, it will carry you over to the room on the left, and if you didn't switch the track yet, hit the switch so that you can ride over here. You don't have to clear out these enemies, just push this statue to the upper left corner where it will be able to cover a button, and that's going to open up the door. We'll head on up through, and in the next room there's more enemies guarding the water. We'll just take these guys out so that we can safely get across. If you clear all the enemies, it'll open the door so you can go back the way that you came, but we want to push these blocks so that we can go through this stairway, which is labeled A on the map. This is the very large first floor, and we want to head down to the lower right corner of this room while avoiding the Wizrobes, and we may need the Boomerang to take out an anti-fairy as we pass through this passage. Work your way down to the lower right corner again, and this time head out to the right, where we'll find a chest that contains the map. Crack it open, and let's see what this dungeon looks like. As you can see, there are 3 floors here, and we haven't explored the top floor fully yet. The bottom floor is where we'll face the boss, so we'll be spending most of our time on the top and middle floors. This stairway is labeled B on the map, and in this passage we're going to need to do a bit of platforming. Hop onto these moving platforms, and over here, Yoku blocks, like from Mega Man? We want to wait until there's a block right in front of Link, walk onto it, hop over, and then quickly hop to those 2 blocks, which will get you across to the other side. You need to be kinda quick and commit to it. If you do that though, you'll easily make it to this darkened room. Lighting the lantern in the center of the room will make it easier to see the floor, but it does burn out after a short amount of time, and honestly, it's not that hard to see the floor without the lantern lit. If you can't see it, just turn up the brightness on your screen. Once you have this key, I recommend that you save and quit the game, and then reload your saved file, because we need to go back up to the top floor, and it's quite a bit of backtracking to get to this spot otherwise. We used a key to open the locked door on the right side of the entryway, and in this room we need to go up, but first there's a cracked wall over here, and you know what that means. We need to use a bomb. Over in this hidden room, if we clear out the enemies, and there's some jumping Stalfos enemies here, which are difficult to kill unless you get them into a corner. It's also good to use Ember Seeds against them. So try to wait for these guys to jump at you and use an Ember Seed, and we can push down a pot to make this Stalfos jump into a position where we can easily clear him with our sword. This one is bouncing away from us. We'll push him up against the wall, and when he jumps towards us, we'll use an Ember Seed again. We'll want to get rid of this bat, and then we can push this purple block to make a chest appear. Inside, we'll find the compass. Getting the compass, of course, is optional, so if you don't want to do all of that, you can just skip it. But you don't want to miss any of the treasures in these dungeons, and the compass will help make sure that you got everything. Up here, we'll dive under these rollers. There's a few clay pots over on the left side that we can pick up if we need some more supplies. And once we're all healed up, we'll go under this roller and make our way to the upper door. In here, you can see that there's another one of those mine carts. You may need to use your shield to flip over the spiked beetles, but basically we need to quickly jump across this cracked floor so that it doesn't collapse beneath Link's weight, and then we'll hop right here in the cart. On this track, we need to go to the left, but we'll probably have to go to the right first so that we can flip that switch. Over here on this side, we're just going to turn right back around and get into the cart. And assuming we hit the switch the first time around, we'll be able to ride through to this room. The compass indicates that there's a key here, and we'll need to clear out the enemies to make it appear. Be careful of the likes. If they grab you, you might lose your shield, and that would be pretty annoying. Dive down over where the key dropped in, and you'll be able to pick it up, and then we can head back onto the cart and go to the right side of this floor. We should not have to flip the switch to get where we're going, and in this next room we'll need to use one of our keys to unlock a key block, which should leave one left in our inventory. In here, we need to clear out the enemies to make the path appear, and if you have the boomerang, you can stun them first, which makes them much easier to kill. And there's that hidden path. Whenever we use a mystery seed on this owl, he reminds us that the Pegasus seeds will allow us to jump farther, and that's what we'll need to do to get over those large gaps. If your supply of Pegasus seeds is lacking, you may be able to find some underneath the clay pots in this room. So we'll restock our supplies, and then we're going to use a Pegasus seed here so that we can run faster, and we'll equip our Rock's Feather so that we can jump across these gaps. Jump, jump, and over here we'll take Stairway C, which brings us back down to floor 1. I'm going to charge up an attack so that we can clear out that gel before pushing the block, and then we'll hop into this minecart. As we ride by, we know that there's a key in this room because of the sound that we heard, but we'll need to have a specific item so that we can light those lanterns. There's another key in this room, and this one's right out in the open. In the upper left corner, there's a chest that you can open up to grab the key. Don't walk right by this one without getting it. Once you have it, head straight down, and in this room, we're going to need to equip our Roc's Feather to hop across the spikes, unless we want to take a bunch of damage, which we really don't, because we're about to face a mini-boss. Head on down into this room, because we're going to fight Aghanim. Equip your Ember Seeds in your sword and hang out in the middle of the room. Aghanim splits into 3 parts. Right before the third one moves over to the right, you want to light both lanterns and look for which boss has a shadow underneath. That is the true boss, and that's the one that you can damage. Charge up some spin slashes and hit him with the full brunt of your sword. If the lanterns burn out, simply light them again. Over here on the right, this old man has a classic clue. What you seek is in the eye. Thanks a lot, old guy. We'll have to figure out what he means later. Head back into Aghanim's room and go down. In here, there's a minecart for us to ride. Ride it over to the right. Let the cart take you down to the bottom into this room where we will jump out. And we're going to head down, and in here, watch out for that laser as you unlock the door on the left. Before you push that statue, you want to equip your Pegasus seeds, so get those going and start running. The floor will fall apart, but with the speed from the Pegasus seeds, we should easily make it to the chest, where we'll get the slingshot. The slingshot allows us to perform ranged attacks using our seeds as ammo. It's a little bit like the seed shooter from Oracle of Ages, but as soon as you press the button, you will immediately fire it, and you can only shoot it right in front of Link. You cannot aim it 8 different directions. Now that we have the slingshot, ride the minecart back to where Aghanim was. And we need to hop through this room, so equip your Roc's Feather. And if you want to, you can use the slingshot with some Gale Seeds to get rid of those anti-fairies. The Boomerang will also work, but this is a very effective way to get rid of a lot of enemies, especially ones that take multiple hits to kill. Change your seed ammo to Ember Seeds and light these 3 lanterns as you pass by. If you're able to do it, a chest will appear on top of the ledge, and you only need to complete this challenge 1 time. We'll need to walk down and around to get to that chest, but it contains a key, so we'll need to do it. So we'll hop over here and we'll head up on the right side, and then we'll just go over here to the right where we'll find that chest and we'll be able to collect our key. This is the last small key that we need to find in this dungeon, so all we need to do now is get the boss key, and we'll be able to finish this thing. To get to the boss key, we want to head down this way to the room with the minecart just below Aghanim's room, and once again we're going to ride this minecart over to the right, but we need to hit both switches this time. So make sure that you hit both switches. If you hit them before, you don't have to hit them now. But we need to ride the cart over here. We'll walk up to the right here, and we just need to hop across this room using our Roc's Feather and Pegasus Seeds. You'll probably want to get rid of some of the enemies first. They can get in your way. But eat a seed and hop over. We'll use one of our small keys here. This is where the boss key is. Remember the clue, what you seek is in the eye? Well, they're referring to the eye-like shape in this room. Go into the water here in the right eye and dive down. That's where you'll find the boss key. You don't have to clear the enemies to get it. Okay, so where's the boss? We can push one of these clay pots to make a shortcut to get back here to the left. And we want to get back to the minecart so that we can ride it back to the room just below where we fought Aghanim. In that room, there's a switch in the lower right corner that we can hit using our slingshot. So load up your slingshot. We're gonna make that trap move, jump over it, and then hit that switch. Now we can ride the minecart into the room on the left. In this room, we need to defeat all of the Wizrobes to open up the door. I like to charge up my sword whenever they vanish so that I can give them a full spin slash whenever they reappear. And if you knock them into the pits, that still counts as getting rid of them to open the door, so whatever you gotta do will work. And with that, we'll head up here. We'll want to try to avoid the laser in this room. This is the other side of the room where we got the map, and we'll unlock that block and take the stairway labeled D on the map. Stairway D takes us down to the basement, and this owl has a clue for how we can defeat the boss. Let's see what it has to say. A guarded body watches with unguarded eyes. Interesting. Equip your ember seeds to the slingshot so that you can shoot those 2 lanterns to make a bridge appear. And in this room, there's a bunch of clay pots. If you move some of the ones in the middle, you'll be able to get some hearts back. In here, get onto the moving platform before it starts going, and rapidly swing your sword to clear out the bats that are in your way. Use the boss key and enter this room because it's time to face Goma. Goma is a classic Zelda boss, and it is possible to kill this boss without removing the claw. Whenever it opens its eye, it will raise the claw, and you'll have a moment to hit it with your slingshot. You need to watch out though, or Goma will grab you with the claw and smash you into the ground. If you stay on the left side and attack the claw, eventually the claw will break off, and then the eye will be completely unguarded. There's only one problem with this. Once the claw is gone, Goma will get some new attacks. Goma will now occasionally spawn some little eye monsters, so I like to equip the sword to deal with the eye monsters and the slingshot with the scent seeds to shoot Goma in the eye. Whenever Goma is spawning the eye monsters, you will still be able to shoot it, so try to take some shots whenever you have a chance. And once he's defeated, we'll be able to grab the heart container and head over here to the right, where we'll be able to get our next essence of nature, the Soothing Rain. Bathed in drops of soothing rain, shoots grow into saplings. And that's going to bring us to the end of part 1 of this guide. But I know you've been wondering about the trick where you create a bunch of chickens to sneak into the final castle. So before we go, let's take a look at that. Normally, if you try to get into the final castle and you don't have the huge Maku seed and all 8 essences, this is what will happen. The power of darkness won't let you go any further. But there's a trick we can use to bypass that barrier. To make the trick work, we need to create 4 temporary objects before we scroll the screen to the right. I'm going to show this in slow motion, but the temporary objects are a broken sign, the clink from the boomerang on the wall, and 2 dirt clumps from the shovel. So you want to stand as far to the right as possible and toss the sign to the left, then immediately pause the game and equip the boomerang to A. Unpause and quickly toss the boomerang downward without changing your facing. Pause the game to the inventory again and equip the shovel to B and the power bracelet to A. Rapidly tap B so that you'll start to shovel, and when you see the pile of dirt appear, pause to the inventory, and as you unpause, you're going to be holding A and down while rapidly tapping start so that you'll just change facing and pause again. As you unpause here, we're going to shovel, and I'm just going to keep pausing and unpausing until we see the second dirt clump appear. And now when we unpause, we're going to hold A and right. If we did it correctly, you'll see the broken sign, the clink from the boomerang, and 2 dirt piles on the screen. Now we need to do this part of the trick. Set Gale Seeds to B and Power Bracelet to A, stand close enough to the Cucco to grab it, and you're going to press B to use a Gale Seed, and right as it grabs Link with the tornado, you want to press A and start at the same time. If you did it correctly, you'll grab the Cucco and toss it out of the tornado, and then you'll go to the warp menu. Cancel out of the warp menu, and when you come over here to the left, you should see a Cucco bouncing on the left side. The number of these duplicate roosters that you can create is based on the number of these temporary objects that you can make before you scroll the screen over to the right. You need to do 4 temporary objects first, then do 3 temporary objects the second time. We'll duplicate another rooster here, and if we did it correctly, there should be 2 jumping on the left side of the screen. If there's not 2 over there, you probably messed up the temporary object part of this, and you'll need to go into the stairs and start over. Make sure to practice the rooster duplication part first though, because if you mess it up and grab the rooster too early, you'll end up flying to the right side of the screen, and you'll have to start this part of the trick over. If you grab a rooster too late, you'll just waste one of your Gale Seeds, so that's not as big of a deal. But we need to make 3 duplicate roosters, and then when we come back to the right, there should be 4 here. Grab one of the roosters and drop down below. If you did it correctly, there should still be 3 roosters in your flock. If you don't have 3 roosters, you'll need to go back up to the top and try again. That beginning part of the trick is the most difficult part. The second part is a little bit easier. Make sure not to grab any of the 3 roosters that we already have, or they will leave us. Otherwise, they'll stay in that neat group and they won't go anywhere. You need to change the season to spring, and it's very important that Moosh is down on the lower screen, because we need to create 8 more roosters up here, and Moosh actually counts as a temporary object. We need to create 6 additional ones, so toss a bomb down to the right to blow up 3 flowers, do a spin slash to hit 2 more flowers, and dig 1 time before you go up onto this screen. And if you had those 5 clumps of flower leaves and 1 clump of dirt on the screen, we'll be able to duplicate this rooster, and then we'll come back down here where we're going to make 5 temporary objects this time. This is very similar to making 6. We'll toss a bomb over here on the right, and we'll do a spin slash, and this time we just won't dig. You'll see that there's 2 roosters bouncing here. We'll do the duplication trick again. Remember, you need to press B and then press A and start at the same time. And it's a little bit more forgiving here. You can actually let go of the rooster without messing the trick up. So it's a lot easier in this part. Also, getting the temporary objects is a little bit easier. So we're going to blow up 3 flowers and just cut 1 to make 4 objects. And each time we do this, the temporary objects just get easier and easier because there's fewer of them that we have to make. However, if you notice that you're not getting any more roosters added to the group at the bottom of the screen, that means you messed up something with these temporary objects, and you'll probably have to start over again. I cannot stress enough though how important it is to make sure you have the timing of the rooster duplication down. That's the most difficult part of this entire trick, and if you don't get it right, it'll be very difficult to do the rest. We only need 2 objects this time, so we'll blow up those 2 flowers. Make sure you see the explosion before you head up. And we will duplicate yet another rooster. And this time we're going to grab the sign with our power bracelet. So we're going to use this sign to create 1 object down here. So drop it, and when you see it break, head up. And then we'll copy this rooster again. And this time, we just need to do 1 object again. We have just so many objects on the screen now that the game is looking for anywhere in the memory to put them. So that's why we're able to use 1 object 2 times in a row. Drop the sign, come up here, duplicate another rooster, and then we're going to do 0 objects. So we need to go down and then just come back up without making any temporary objects. Keep in mind that things like rupees or enemies, none of those count as temporary objects. Only these things that we're creating with our tools or are already on the screen count. And if you did everything correctly, you'll notice that Moosh has disappeared. That's how you'll know that you have enough roosters. If Moosh didn't disappear, you must have done something wrong. Getting to this point in the trick is extremely difficult and takes a lot of practice, but we're almost in the clear. There's just one more major trick that we need to do to make this work. Head down here and we're going to pick up one of our roosters with the power bracelet so that we can get down below. We will lose this rooster. So it looks like he returns to the flock, but that one will be gone, so now there's only 2 in the upper left, but that's okay. We're going to create a few extra objects at the end to make sure that this works. To get across this gap, we need to do a bomb jump, so use a Pegasus seed, then equip the bombs and the Rock's Feather. Hold the bomb in your hand, and when it starts flashing, we're going to keep pausing and unpausing until you see the bomb explode. So there it is. This time when we unpause, you're just going to hold left and A, and you should get a boost from the bomb that will take you across the large pit. There's one more of those bomb jumps that we need to do, but the bomb jump is probably the easiest part of this trick, so if you're unable to do that, the rest of it is extremely difficult. Do another bomb jump here. We need to get across. Make sure to eat a Pegasus seed first. Hold a bomb. Keep pausing and unpausing until you see the explosion. And whenever you do, as you unpause, we're going to hold left and A. So here it is. And that should get you across this gap. Now do not go up to the next room. That's where the barrier is. We must create 3 more temporary objects before we scroll the screen up, or we'll still hit the magic barrier and we'll lose all of our roosters, so we need to make sure we do this correctly. Here's what it looks like in slow motion. We're going to stand here in the middle, toss the boomerang down and to the left. We have the shovel equipped to A right now, so we're going to mash A as we unpause, and whenever you see the dirt clump appear, pause to the inventory and equip the power bracelet to B. Hold right and B and then rapidly tap start to go back to the inventory, and we just wanted to change our facing so that we can unpause and hit A until we see the dirt clump appear again, and then we're going to hold up and B. If we did it correctly, there should be a clink from the boomerang and 2 dirt clumps on the screen, and do not turn back. If you go back, you could make the magic barrier hit you. You want to walk all the way up and go inside the castle. From here, you'll go on to face General Onyx, but if you want to know how to defeat him, or how to beat the remaining 4 dungeons, you'll have to check out the epic conclusion in part 2 of this guide, next time on You Can Beat Video Games. Until then, thanks for watching.